Time for us to get a look at your forecast. Here's WBRZ meteorologist Marissa Nuzzo. That's not Marissa, is it? Okay.
This is Mornings with Brian Haldane.
I'm really quite something.
Mornings are for coffee and contemplation.
News and newsmakers.
Coffee and contemplation.
Traffic and weather.
I've been sitting here for 2.5 hours and I still don't know why.
Start your day with Baton Rouge's hub for information and opinion. Here is Brian Haldane.
606, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane, off and running. Brian here with you. Chuck P producing. Ready for a Monday. Ready to wash the funk and the losing off of the weekend.
Oh, thank God for yesterday.
Yeah. No. Oh, well,
Yeah.
no. Hang on.
Talk about Brian.
No. It was fine from noon to 4, right?
Yes.
Still good there. After 6 p.m., the funk rolled back in.
Yeah.
And I'm not even talking about what you're talking about. You're probably talking about Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I'm talking about the season is over for my New York Mets.
Oh, ouch.
Thank you for playing 101 wins on the season, and the Bats just decide to not show up in 2 out of 3 games against a team whose uniforms are literally poo. Have you seen the San Diego Padres?
I have.
Shout out to former Catholic High and LSU alum Aaron Nola moving on in the playoffs.
All right.
But that doesn't do me and my Mets any good whatsoever. So
No, sorry about that.
So it was just sports-wise, there was a ton of losing over the weekend with the Saints paying off.
Thank the Lord.
I know. And for so many reasons. The Saints paying off without Michael Thomas out there. Like, that's going to get better.
Right.
From where they're at right now to moving forward, that is still going to get better. We've got a lot of ground to cover on today's show. We are going to be talking, well, Condon's going to come down the hall in just a little bit. We talk with Richard Condon every Monday. I don't know what about. And that's by design. I tell you this every week. He'll come in. It's wherever he's going to be at. Like, wherever he's at on the official Condon spectrum. He's all over the board. We are going to talk with Erin Bendelee at 6:50. She's with the Pelican Institute. She heads up the education branch, if you will, of the Pelican Institute. Erin has been on the show before. This week, I believe tomorrow, actually, Bessie is slated to meet and talk about K-12 accountability standards. Last week, we had Education Superintendent Dr. Cade Brumley on the show, as we do every month, and he talked about those standards moving into this week. We'll follow up with the Pelican Institute about that at 6:52. Actually, 7:35, Stephen Wagaspak from LABI is going to be on the hotline with us, and we'll talk about that there as well. 7:15, our Medical Monday segment this week, we're going to talk about concussions, concussion protocols, what parents of high school football players, or actually any high school sports, any high school athletes should be on the lookout for. With everything that went down with Tua Tagovailoa, and then here at LSU as well.
Teddy Bridgewater this weekend as well.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah.
What's going on in Miami? But with all of that in mind, I thought it was a good idea because these are the sorts of things that when you see them in the NFL, when you see them in college, they apply in high school as well. They apply for all of us. So we're talking concussions in our Medical Monday segment. 8:15. Oh, I'm looking forward to this. Chuck, did you see the article at WBRZ or watch it? Mississippi River, super low right now.
Oh, yeah.
And they found a boat.
I saw that.
They found a boat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So the state archaeologist, Dr. Chip McGimsey, is going to join us at 7:15. I'm sorry, 8:15, to talk about not only what they found, how they found it, what they already knew about it, but honestly, stories like this spark my imagination. What else is down there? How many?
Right.
It's the Mississippi River, for crying out loud. How many boats are down there?
With the droughts we've been having worldwide, they've been discovering these temples and like all these old
Lake
warships.
Mead,
Yeah.
You know,
Lake Mead,
dead gangsters
right.
in 55-gallon drums. We still haven't found Jimmy Hoffa.
We might
don't
now.
know why.
We might now.
Right? So here's where I'm going with this, and follow me. Why haven't we found Jean Lafitte's treasure yet?
Good question.
Is now the time?
Could be.
I mean, you got boats popping up. Why not? So we'll talk with Dr. Chip McGimsey at 8:15. Going to wrap things up. The Jambalaya Jams this week.
Wait, what?
I know, right? Kind of
Okay.
bought all of us.
Jeez.
I know. George Bell from the Capital Area United Way is going to round out our guest list at 8:35. That plus top stories and trending, the outside in, this day in history, and a whole lot more as the show wears on. So, yeah, Jambalaya Jam this week.
Interesting.
Buckle up. Also, I already know at the first thing Monday when I'm doing last thing Friday, and I'm pretty sure it's My Weekend Live after 5.
Oh, cool. Mixed Nuts playing.
I know.
My buddy Jonathan Grimes plays drums for that band.
Looking forward to it.
It's going to be fun.
I enjoy them.
They're a good party band.
Yeah, they are. All right, we're going to break about a minute or so early because there's a lot of sports to cover. So let's take that break right now. Taylor will have traffic coming back, talking a little LSU, but Saints as well. Next on Talk 107.3. Okay. Oh.
Good morning, Renee.
Yeah, I'm sick as an animal because of all this. Like, it just...
I don't know, man. Like, I've been waking up the past few mornings with just itchy, watery, like, eyes.
Well, when you get that post-nasal and it just...
I was getting that for
I
a
was
bit, too.
throwing up. I was throwing up
Oh.
a lot last night.
It hadn't been that bad. But
When it gets all in my stomach...
yeah, that's not good.
I mean, I tried to have some Irish whiskey to clear it out. I don't think there's anything medical behind that. I don't think medically doctors would recommend Irish whiskey to clear out congestion.
Probably not.
You don't think?
Yeah, I mean, if it was the 1800s, sure. If it was Deadwood.
I thought there might be some crossover value. I don't know.
Hey, Galen, I'm just back for today and tomorrow. Alondra's on a little vacation trip.
Is that what we're calling it?
Whatever it is, I don't know. I saw her. She was wearing a dress last night, wherever she was. I was like, whoa. I'm not used to seeing Alondra in a dress.
She was... Oh. I thought she was already, like, back in...
Well, it was on Snap. It was a Snapchat.
Oh, okay.
TikTok. This TikTok commercial runs like constantly.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
I was like, what is going on?
I had to bump an interview. There's an interview for 8:35 that we're not going to get to today. I already recorded it. But it's a former Obama speechwriter, and he tells the fast.
No, Alondra's great. I'm glad you guys have grown fond of it.
Yeah.
Try to get segments up for the show. Get back down here doing rocket work all week.
You got all the LRN cuts here?
Yep.
Okay. 6:15, Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP, sports time here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. And all right, let's just dive in. Let's just do this. Nobody wants to. We'd like to flush it from our systems, but nonetheless, eighth-ranked Tennessee rolled into Tiger Stadium on Saturday and showed the difference between being number 8 and number 25. 40-13 is their win. Was Tennessee's win over LSU. Volunteers had 502 yards of total offense. Jaden Daniels was sacked 5 times. Tigers had 55 yards rushing overall. Coach Brian Kelly says his staff has to coach up the players better.
They want to win. They're going to play hard. And so that's why, again, I'll say I like this team. I like the grit in them. I like the way they fight. We've got to do a better job coaching them.
I can appreciate that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, LSU did get out-coached on Saturday. That's legit. But I don't know if coaching was going to solve what went down on Saturday. There is a definite level of disparity of talent right now. And this is not a shot against this. I'm not taking shots at Jaden Daniels. I'm not taking shots at Malik Neighbors or any of the running backs. When you've got that, and I'm air quoting this, unit for your offensive line, there's only so much coaching you can do. The offensive line was going to be a weak spot moving into this season. First 3 games, you have 3 different sets of offensive linemen. Now, the Friday before playing a top 10 team, you get a picture popping around on Instagram of one of those starting linemen in a hospital bed. So now let's start moving people around. You've got another starting offensive lineman whose arm is in a club because of a previous injury. It's makeshift. It's moving around. It's shifting on the fly.
And then he came out of the game with an injury.
Correct. Also correct. So I don't know how much coaching you can do there, but I appreciate that that's the grenade he was going to jump on to start things off. Like, let's set the tone by not pointing fingers at 18 to 22-year-olds. Let me, the guy who's pulling $9 million a year, go ahead and take these slings and arrows. Good on you. Opening kickoff. Jack Best drops the opening kickoff. You can't coach your way out of that. Volunteers go up 10-0 after that opening touchdown and field goal. Kelly says this is an area that, when it comes to special teams, an area they have to start getting better at.
We'll go back and we'll look at special teams. If there's things that we got to simplify even more to make sure that those mistakes, because you're absolutely right, you can't spot anybody 10 points and expect to win football games.
Oh, we have.
Yeah, that happened.
It doesn't help when that bad behavior is codified with other games, but nonetheless. By the way, as far as, and this is one where I will take issue, Will Campbell was hospitalized because he was dehydrated. Kelly did not add much on top of that.
So, the young man went down during a walkthrough, and EMS is called, and the ambulance is on your field. But our thoughts are with him, and you saw he posted an Instagram. Seemed to be doing pretty good there.
Look, again, he's a freshman in college. We don't need to dive deep into his medical history, but if there's any one spot over the whole weekend that we could point at and say, what the heck? Wasn't the whole offseason we were touting these journals and how, detailed everybody is about their diet and nutrition? All right, we'll push pause on that. LSU will go to Florida this coming weekend. 6 p.m. kickoff in the Swamp, notoriously one of the worst places to play, but watch for a bounce-back game here. If nothing else, the inconsistency of teenagers will rear its, work in our favor this week. Moving over to the Saints, utility player Taysom Hill ran for 3 touchdowns, threw for another on Saturday. Saints outscoring the Seahawks 39-32 in the Superdome. Hill says statistically this is his best game ever.
I think as you prepare, I think my mindset is that, man, I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity. And I felt like I was going to get more opportunities this week. And so I did my part to make sure I was prepared for when it came up.
You ever been in a fantasy football league with somebody who starts Taysom Hill?
Michelle Southern had to deal with that yesterday.
Oh, I'm glad I'm not alone. That was disgusting.
Yeah.
He doesn't run for the third if he doesn't throw for one. I'm just saying. Oh, here comes the Fox Business Report. You can't brag at me all off season about how meticulous and detailed you are about the little things when it comes to journaling and your diet and making sure you're taking your vitamins and writing them down, and then your starting offensive lineman goes into the hospital with dehydration. Look, if we find out like he's got a kidney thing or whatever, that's going to be a different story.
Hopefully it's nothing.
No, I hope it's nothing.
What was the other injury with Dellinger? Was it his knee?
I don't know. I mean, he already had his hand in a club.
Yeah.
Oh, but I'm hearing way worse. Oh.
Interesting.
Okay, I now have enough caffeine in me to kill a horse. Red Bull, more like Dead Bull.
Yeah, I made 2 cups of coffee, 2 pots of coffee this morning because like I'm gonna drink the majority of it.
This timing is way off. That was like that commercial was 5 seconds short, wasn't it?
And it was about 5 seconds late starting.
Where's my wife at this morning? Shouldn't she be back from the gym by now?
Maybe she's stopping at breakfast.
Sending me a good morning text. So I give her a personalized weather report now on YouTube. By the way, hey, we're supposed to be moving back over to Facebook real soon, y'all. My apologies. I thought we were going to be there by this morning, but this morning was chaotic. So we'll officially move over tomorrow. Excuse me. Sorry. And again, sorry for the sniffles all morning long. Ugh. Yo. 624 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Glorious. I mean, despite the result on the field, it was an absolutely glorious day for tailgating on Saturday before and after the game. I tell you, I rolled up into Mathern's right after the post-game show was over on my way off of campus, and it was just this sea of orange.
Ugh.
No, you know what, though? I didn't have any negative experiences with any of the Tennessee fans over the weekend.
Well,
it was fantastic. It started at dawn. I was going into get a Red Bull and a Topo Chico from a racetrack on the way down there, right? On the way towards the stadium.
Yeah. What time do you have to be there? Probably super.
I got there a little bit late. I was hoping to be there for 6:45. I got there at like 7:02.
Oh, okay.
But I'm at the racetrack at the corner of Florida and North Foster, and there's this like gaggle of Tennessee fans on their way out. So I'm wearing my LSU Sports Radio shirt. I'm holding the door for them. I'm like, no, I'll hold it anyway, in spite of the shirts. And they all got a big laugh, and it was jovial. It was friendly.
Yeah.
It was the way college sports are supposed to be, not the vitriol and hatred that we get from the teams we play every single year.
I did see on Twitter some Tennessee fans say that the LSU tailgates and LSU fans are some of the nicest fans they've ever been around.
Right. Like this is the way there was a window of time where college sports was like this before it really started tipping the scales and like, ooh, I hate Alabama.
Right.
Which, by the way, that was the talk of everywhere I went after the game was, hey, y'all just beat Bama for us next week.
I think they will. I really think after watching Bama and A&M Saturday night, I have faith in Tennessee beating them.
I would have until the Associated Press came out on Sunday and dropped Bama from number 1 in the nation down to number 3. I'm like,
because that performance was terrible.
Does it mess up?
I know, but
Georgia beat Auburn. Great. Auburn is doo-doo. We saw Auburn against us.
Yeah.
We saw what they're terrible. Okay? But just where they are right now, don't insult Nick Saban in a game week. Like, if you need to move him back next week in a week where we're going to let them do what they do any other week. But if I'm Tennessee right now, I'm waking up this morning saying, why would you do that to us? By dropping Alabama down, you've given them more motivation. They've got the whole bulletin board material thing going on. The nation doesn't respect us. No, not this week, guys. Come on.
I don't think that's going to play a factor. I really don't.
You give Nick Saban any ounce of disrespect. An ounce, not even a full ounce. A drop.
If Bryce Young is back and plays, then they've got a significant chance.
Yeah, no. Well, and that'll play into it as well. All the other extenuating circumstances and whatnot. Right now. Anyway, that was not the point of my story. The point of my story was Mathern's is your game day headquarters.
Yes.
And, well, now it's a Monday, so it's not a game day. What are you doing? Well, it's a full-service grocery store every other day of the week as well. They're in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. Yes, they are right across the street from Tiger Stadium. Also downtown. Underrated salad bar at either location. But they're a full-service grocery store. And here's the thing. When COVID hit, they started the app, and you can start to do your grocery shopping from the app, and they'll bring it out to you. Well, the pandemic's all but over, and that's still going on, and it's still remarkably convenient. Take advantage of it at either location, downtown on 3rd Street or in the Nicholson Gateway Shopping Center. Mathern's. Yes, they're on campus. No, they're not just for students. So I don't spend a whole lot of time on national politics or stories that come to us from anywhere else, but there's no way I don't take 2 minutes to take a look at this Herschel Walker story. And my rock solid hot take here is, I don't know. Have you been following this Herschel Walker story? A mom of Herschel Walker's child says he paid her to have an abortion. It's been circulating all over the internet over the weekend. Yahoo News was running with it, which Yahoo News is a cesspool, but that's neither here nor there. Business Insider has it. All the major news outlets have been printing it over the weekend. But here's the best I can figure out about this whole story. A woman who will not be named, who has a child who will not be named, had an abortion which is easily provable, but they're refusing to prove. 1 month before an election. A woman, who we can't have her name, and if her name has come up, I apologize, but in the Yahoo News version of this, which, again, not the most reputable, definitely the most left, one of the most left-leaning out there. And by the way, Yahoo is citing the Daily Beast, who is every bit as left-leaning as Yahoo is. And I don't do this very often, where I talk about the left-wing media. Every outlet is its own outlet. But in this particular case, Yahoo News, who has a leftist bent, is citing another news source with a leftist bent and telling you that Herschel Walker paid for an abortion, which to me, okay, show me the receipts. Let's just do that. Due to medical privacy, okay, that's convenient. You're 1 month away from an election. Now is the time for an unnamed woman with an unnamed child and an unprovable abortion to come out in a congressional race. Watch how quickly this disappears after the first week in November. All right, quick break. When we come back, Richard Condon's going to be in studio. We talk with him every Monday. I have no idea what about, and that continues next on Talk 107.3. Casey says no more YouTube. Yeah, it looks like we're moving back over to Facebook. YouTube will be for like pieces, parts content after this, where we have individual interviews we want to post back up and the like. But the long and the short of it was we have a larger audience on Facebook, and YouTube has not proven to be what we thought it was going to be when we moved over here.
No, not so much.
I hate to oversimplify it like that, but that's basically what it is. Galen says, we are literally in October. Can you say October surprise? Why do people fall for this crap? I know. I feel like it should lend more credence to the fact that I don't walk down this path very often. I don't scream left bias from the media every single day. But this particular story, when look at it through the lens of, and oh, by the way, the movie Till is coming out real soon. When you look at this particular story, there will be a tie in there in a minute. A woman who we're not naming, who has a child we're not naming, had an abortion which can be proven but won't be proven. Anonymity across the board. Run it through the Daily Beast, who runs it through Yahoo and then kicks back to the other news outlets. So you have I heard from a guy who heard from a guy who heard from a guy who heard from a woman who won't be named that Herschel Walker paid for an abortion. Okay. Well, then we'll just take that as straight value. Because, she's to be believed, right? She's always to be believed. Always believe the woman who makes the accusation at a time like this, regardless of how easy it is to prove. Now, if she comes out tomorrow and says, look, here's the check he mailed me. I got it right here. And look, here's the receipt from the abortion clinic. And here's my little punch card, 3 more, and I get a free one. Like, if she comes out tomorrow and says that, then yes, absolutely. Vilify him as much as the day is long. But why wouldn't you lead with that? Well, if you've got that rock solid of a case, squash the rest of it. Now, for Herschel Walker's part, he came out at first and says, I don't know this woman, and then backtracks. And, well, that might have been a misquote, by the way. But then backtracks and says, yes, I had a relationship with her, but I never paid for an abortion. Anyway, side note, there's a movie about Emmett Till's mom coming out, which looks powerful as all hell. And I can't imagine, but the Me Too movement's got to be up in arms about it. Because, always believe the woman who makes the accusation. Yeah, if you're Walker, if you're Herschel Walker, you've got to be better about this as well. If you're Herschel Walker, you've got to don't make hard and fast denials up front. They're going to have enough to come at you to not send a woman who you've never met before. So don't come out and say I've never met her. Like, respect their game a little bit more.
I don't know if he's smart enough to do that.
The RNC is smart enough, and at this point, everything's in their hands anyway. That's like suggesting it was Joe Biden's idea to pardon people who've been busted for simple possession. But you've got to be smart enough to say, or you've got to have the handlers who are smart enough to say, all this is kind of coming out of left field 1 month before the election. Give me a minute to find out who this person is, this unnamed person is. And that's the other part of this. I don't know how. I don't know how you could say you never met a woman who's not named. That seems stupid too, right?
What up, Rich?
What's happening, Rich?
What you doing, dude?
Oh, chilling. Got my daughter upstairs.
Upstairs.
Mhm.
Sick?
No. She was supposed to have powerlifting this morning, but Catholic High's off. So rather than have her sit in the dark in a parking lot for an hour and a half,
They didn't know? You didn't know?
she missed the email. So we're going to get her over there
One
at
thing
7
I
o'clock.
never do, B, is miss an email.
Oh, I know. Very thorough. Very thorough. Yeah. So we were just talking about the whole Herschel Walker story. I don't do national politics very much, but this one pisses me off.
I just remember his mama making me a glass of lemonade in Wrightsville, Georgia, holding up his Heisman Trophy. in 85.
Really?
True story.
Nice.
Hey, Big, I think it's one of the worst free agent signings the Saints ever made. Tyrann Mathieu. Safety's job is to protect. You got your last line of defense. Big play after big play after big play after. What's the dude doing?
Six 637 Talk 1073 FM, WBRP. You know how we do every Monday. Kickstart your week by bringing Condon down the hall.
Hope everybody had a great weekend. Nice weekend.
Yeah, it was.
But I had to block out 11:05 to 2:30.
Oh, so
That's the only part of the weekend that wasn't nice.
well, I'm also a Mets fan, so last night kind of sucked, but
Now listen to this, Brian. Do you know how often people go like to another state when the Powerball jackpot gets that big, or the lottery jackpot in that state gets that big? You follow me?
Yeah.
I got an idea.
What you got?
I want to do the same thing. Every Saturday, I'm going to drive from here. I'll get with you. I'll get with everybody here at Guarantee. You follow me?
Mhm.
And I'm going to say how many tickets you want. I want Ron DeSantis to come out with a lottery in Florida that if you get all 5 numbers, guess what? You get to pick where the next bus of Venezuelan migrants are going to go.
I like where you're going with this.
You follow me? So I got the
one of a
winning
jackpot.
ticket,
Yeah.
Right? So matter of fact, even made my list. First off, I'm going to send the migrants to the governor's office. Now, what's funny about that, if you try to get the actual physical address of the governor's mansion here, you can't. It gives you a latitude and longitude, which makes sense to me because the Democratic governor's doing more damage than a hurricane ever did in this state. So listen, the next one I would send to District Council 2 Representative Shauna Banks, because that's all she does is give away free crap every day so the migrants can go in her district and get some free crap. They can get Halloween candy. They can get Christmas presents. They can get heavenly hash come Easter time.
It's time for a good trunk or treat. No, have you
How
ever
about
seen the
Don
trunk?
Johnson and Trudy White? Let's send the
Whoa.
migrants over there.
All right. I'm going to keep moving because that's going to get me triggered in a
How
minute.
about the city-owned luxury apartment that Mayor Cantrell was living in a quarter? Send the
that?
migrants there.
Down to the Pontalba?
It's amazing, man. All right, Haldane, I got to put you on the spot here.
Oh, yeah. What'd I do?
Are you going to bust the governor's balls?
No, what about? Oh, about the fact that he says when President Biden comes out and wants to pardon those that are convict her in prison for simple possession. He says that he's going to kick it back to the pardon board.
No, much local.
Oh, okay.
How you going to bust Kennedy's balls about saying crackheads? He could have done it better. But you're going to let Gravy sit in a freaking lazy boy in a swamp smoking a marijuana joint. Now, how are you going to bust Kennedy's chops about saying that, and you may not like the verbiage?
Yeah.
You may not like that, but now let me tell you, the worst thing about it is, does Gravy Gary Chambers have a medical clearance to smoke marijuana? All right, so if he does, physically he's unfit for the office. All right, secondly, the last thing Gary Chambers needs is to smoke weed because he's already eating too much. And you know damn well,
what's good for the
people who smoke
metabolism?
weed, I hear they get emotions.
Okay.
Gary Chambers does not need to eat any more food. PTFD, put the fork down.
All right.
You going to
Take
put
shots
the
to the guy.
governor's balls or not?
No, so yes, but not for the reason you're thinking.
Well, I ain't worried.
He's acted like
my
the
reason.
governor's kind of acted like Gary hasn't existed in this race.
You know what you're acting like right now?
What?
A grown man on a little scooter who's physically fit to get his groceries. You're just going around the store in your little scooter. Answer my question. Is the governor wrong for being critical of Kennedy?
No,
but not
it's bigger
Chambers?
than that. Yes, he's wrong for being critical. First of all, move on. You're done with the job. Move on. Okay, but the bigger part of this is he's acted like Gary Chambers hasn't even been in this race. He said very early on that the marijuana ad was irresponsible, and then closed the book on it, and that was the end of it. Everything else that Gary Chambers
All right, now look,
says since
here's something
then.
that's really ticking me off, Haldane.
What?
And I wrote it down, and it's factual, okay?
Okay.
You can't argue with me.
Wait,
All right, and Chuck ain't going to look at me cockeye over there going, well, I'm going with this.
the fact that you wrote it down.
First, when you look at somebody cockeye, you see double. You don't want two of me.
The fact that you wrote it down makes it factual?
It is.
Okay. What you got?
Well, you want me to just add with it? Want to play this? No, you're a tough guy. You don't need a key today.
I'm asking you. What is it?
I went to the grocery store yesterday, Haldane.
Oh.
All right, this woman who had the name of a famous petroleum chemical plant in this city had the name making a lot of bling. She's making cash.
Okay.
You feel me?
Okay.
Shuffled through 3 Louisiana purchase cards.
Oh, no.
She was rude to the cashier. Wait a minute. Frozen Tyson chicken is $7.99, not $11.99. Lady, I told the cashier, put the $4 online. I got to go. So look, I followed her out, right?
Uh-huh.
Now she's got a petroleum big blue shirt on, which means she's making bling. She ain't making no $8, $9, $10, $11, or $12 an hour.
Right.
You know I'm right, Howard.
No.
That's what. I followed her out. She is in an Audi, what is it, A5?
Okay.
What happened?
With the 3 Louisiana purchase.
Oh, what is that? She has more Louisiana purchase cards in her purse than the normal deck of cards. And we playing poker at the house on a Thursday. How the hell does that happen, Brian?
There's so much rampant abuse.
Hey, free stuff.
Oh.
I want my free stuff. Hey, wait a minute. My kids never went to public schools. Where's my free stuff?
Good question.
No, it's a good question. Because people just keep letting it go.
I know.
Keep letting it go.
I know.
This is going to be a terrible.
But see, okay, so this is, we're
I'm tired of it.
to compare apples to oranges, but you have a story like that. You have a situation like that where you got, and that's state money, not local. But remember last week we were all told we're about to be hit with a stormwater drainage fee. It's these things, this death by 1,000 people.
Haven't you hearing mayors in this city say that since Pat Screen was partying in a corner?
No, you've been hearing that they're going to fix it. Now you're hearing you're going to be charged for it, which is, to me, show me the results. And then just
pawn it off. Here, look,
pawn it
let me
off.
say something.
Federal consent decree.
For all the little artsy people out there, we are the world people who watch CNN. Well, guess what? Everything's about the DOJ and Trump. The DOJ and Trump. I'm going to be fair. You put on Fox. Everything is night vision goggles. You see the migrants running across the border. All right? You know what
Hunter Biden.
No. You know what it is for me locally?
What?
And I said it again on this show, but you don't listen to me.
Okay.
McKinley High School, they need to implode it. Implode McKinley High School. You know what? When they took down Kirby Smith in 7 months,
Yeah.
I bought a brick because I lived there, right?
Yeah.
That's what they do to need McKinley High School. Sell the bricks, bring it down, and guess what? Sell the bricks and give all that money to the public defender's office for all former and current McKinley High School students who are going to need representation from the public defender's office.
They need
It's
a
an
big.
absolute embarrassment. It's an abomination that school is. And every day, they got parents getting in a fight with the kids. They got brawls and the kids are there with their new iPhones, videoing the brawl. And Cito Narciso, whatever the hell, he's not there. Now, one of the damn 9 board members, the school board says a damn thing. But guess what? I'm paying for that. You're paying for that.
Yeah, we are. We're definitely paying for that. And we need one of those signs that says it's been 0 days since our last incident.
Oh, wait a
We
minute.
almost made it a full
Hey,
week.
let me
We
give a hand
almost
for
made
all
it a
the
full week.
people in the village for raising the kids. Great job. Love the village is raising kids. That's awesome. That works out perfect, Brian.
That place is just, it's a magnet. It is an absolute magnet for violence.
Dad, you know what? It's at Liberty High School. It's at Terra High School. It's at all of them, man.
But McKinley seems to have it a lot worse. McKinley seems to be the place that draws it all in.
You know one thing they'll never have at public high schools in East Baton Rouge Parish?
What?
Bring mom and dad to school day.
No, they won't. He's Richard Condon. You catch him right down the hall on Eagle 98.1. Appreciate you, brother. All right. We're going to get you to our Your Money Now in just a little bit. We will check traffic as well. Before we get you to Your Money Now, want to ask what you're doing for lunch today. Heck, it's early enough. We might have time to squeeze in breakfast. Swing by Zeeland Street Market, the corner of Perkins and Zeeland on the Garden District side of the Perkins Road overpass. They're right there next to Varsity Sports. I got to go by Zeeland for lunch on Friday. Yes, I went brisket, smothered okra, and mustard greens. And yes, I didn't even need dinner at that point when I filled up for lunch at Zeeland Street. So good. The pecan smoked brisket might be the most underrated brisket in Baton Rouge. Got the chance to visit with Miss Stephanie for a little while, talk about a few of the things she's got going on. I love this place so much, and you will too. Look, food is fuel. If you want to make sure you're fueling your body for the rest of the day, you've got to put the right stuff in it. That means fresh vegetables, never the processed stuff. And she takes so much pride in how she serves up her food with love and values your time all the same. It's the Zeeland Street Market. Swing by for lunch today. Quick break, check traffic. Your Money Now coming back next on Talk 107.3. Is that Aaron?
Yeah.
Okay. The state of Louisiana could easily audit social assistance recipients with motor vehicle records, homestead exemption, etc., to see who are getting aid that shouldn't be. I know. Galen says they're asking Walker to prove he didn't pay for an abortion. How do you prove a negative? That is correct. It's physically impossible to disprove a negative. It's the when did you stop beating your wife question, right? Oh, Christy's in. Here you go. This drought is going to be over with by Wednesday, or at least we will have a break in the rain by Wednesday. We got a 30% chance of rain tomorrow, 73% chance of rain on Wednesday. Today's high is 85, tomorrow 86, Wednesday 85, overnight lows in the mid 60s, but a 75% chance of rain, 73, I'm sorry, is what it says. So be ready for it. All the dry weather about to go away a little bit, I hope.
Oh, I need you to today, at some point when you can, recut that Folds of Honor spot.
Let me see if I can find the copy for it.
Okay.
Hey, y'all, at the top of the hour, I'm going to have to step out of the studio for just a minute. So Chuck is going to pull up a bunch of knock-knock jokes and tell y'all knock-knock jokes. How about that?
I got you covered.
All right.
which is reporting a record month in China. It says it delivered more than 83,000 vehicles from its plant in Shanghai last month. It comes after Tesla made improvements to the factory there to increase capacity. Globally, Tesla's third quarter deliveries also set a company record, though it missed Wall Street's expectations. Meanwhile, shares of Rivian have continued their tumble. They're down 8% in pre-market trading after falling 7% Friday. It's after the electric vehicle maker recalled nearly all of its cars, 13,000 in total, to fix potential steering issues. Rivian says no injuries have been reported as a result of the problem. On Wall Street, futures are lower as the market gets ready for a big week of economic data. The big one is on Thursday with a new report on inflation. It's also considered the start of earnings season with 4 top banks and several big consumer brands set to release earnings later this week. That's your Money Now.
I'm Rocky Moselle with StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. For $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com, we will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
SJ is not far away, but like. .652 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. So this week, Bessie will meet. They're going to talk about K through 12 accountability standards. So we need to talk about K through 12 accountability standards, and I can think of nobody better to turn to for that than Aaron Bendelee from the Pelican Institute. Welcome back. How are you?
Good morning, Brian. I'm doing well, and you?
Oh,
Thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. Love having you all on. Love having the Pelican Institute on every time we get a chance. Let's talk K through 12 accountability. What is set to change should Bessie give the go-ahead?
Well, the State Board of Elementary and Secondary Education is going to be meeting tomorrow to take up a really important proposal that we think could be a game changer for our kids. It's a vote, as you said, to greatly strengthen the transparency of our state accountability and rating system for all of our public schools, to really give parents and the public a more accurate sense of how well their kids are learning in their schools. So that's the first thing it does. The second thing that it would do is to really drive improvement at all levels to make sure that all kids are making progress. You know, we still have 2/3 of our kids in Louisiana performing below proficient levels in core subjects like reading, writing, and math. Mm-hmm. We need to be able to grow that student achievement to where our kids need to be. And second, the proposed really increases incentives for high schools to do a better job of preparing kids for careers in those career and technical education programs that lead to great jobs.
Okay, so I want to address the back end of that first, and we'll go back towards early childhood literacy or early grade literacy in a little bit. But on the accountability side, from the high school's end, how tough is it to walk that balance between raising scores, raising standards to get into college versus providing an outlet for a job versus realizing that a high school, I don't want to put it in these terms, but a high school is not just a pre-VOTEC school. Like these are still, kids who might not know their path yet. How do you walk all three?
Well, you're absolutely right. And we do have to remember that we are working with individuals in their youth. And as you said, that's a time for exploration. That's a time for growth and development in many ways. But we've been doing this now for about a decade in Louisiana through strong partnerships with our state community and technical colleges, partnerships with workforce and economic development groups across the state, and most importantly, employers, so that we give those those opportunities for our kids in high school to be able to have exposure to the world of work, to different careers, so that they can get a sense of what's out there, what they're interested in. And then once they see what's possible, they see what opportunities are there, then it's our obligation to begin supporting them along that journey, to make sure that they are developing that knowledge and those skills that they will need, so that when they get to that point, it's seamless. They don't need to go back and take remedial courses. They don't need to start from scratch. If they're able to get a jump start on that preparation early in high school, we ought to be able to take advantage of those 4 years in high school to do that. And we've actually begun to see that happen very well. So we know that many kids are capable. And in the end, that sets them up for success. It saves them and mom and dad money if they can get some of those credits done in high school.
No, absolutely. But it's also a change of the game in that we've spent generations measuring success in high school by acceptance into college. How do we set this up to where we could determine what is and is not a win here?
How many students are we preparing to go to a university if that is that child's aspiration? If they're going the university route, then at a minimum, we need to make sure that we're preparing them to make that transition without the need for remedial work. Are they prepared to go on to be college freshmen, not having to retake algebra, not having to retake other courses? But as you mentioned, many students are not going to go directly into college or into a university setting. They might go into a technical or community college. They might go directly into a job. And we want to make sure that for those students, that they go in with the most preparation to get a good job, an upwardly mobile job where they can begin to grow and make a living wage, not just minimum wage. Right now, the split between those two groups of students is about 82-18. So we've got about 82 students going or graduating with a university prep diploma. We only have about 18% that are getting ready for the world of work. We know that should probably be more of a 50-50 split. And I think that means that I think what that shows is we have a lot more to do in the area of workforce development, career and technical ed, to make sure that more kids understand their options in that pathway, because there are great jobs in that pathway as well.
So much more to walk down this path, but we just don't have time for all of it. Aaron, let's shift gears and talk about K-3 literacy. This is something that Dr. Brumley has been focused on. This is something Dr. Brumley wants fixed, and this is something that, quite honestly, every day that goes by that we're not moving in the right direction, we're moving even further. That gap gets exacerbated in the wrong direction. Where are we headed with these standards, and are we on the right path? Should Bessie adopt them?
We are. The good news, the state has begun several things that schools are doing to address this crisis that we have, where we only have about 50% of our kids in grades K-3 that are reading on grade level. And we can't sustain that. Everyone knows that Louisiana has experienced learning loss since COVID, like many other states. But the more critical point is that for those third graders, they actually have not improved at all in that performance since 2019. And we have got to get back to the point where we're making progress and helping kids to read. It is the foundation for the learning for the rest of their school experience. And so right now we have a brand new training program for our teachers to make sure that they understand the right way to teach kids to read and how to make progress when they run into challenges. Number two, we have a plan to provide extra tutoring and support for kids who are behind, to be able to get them the help that we need. And there's been a lot of federal and state funding that has gone into these programs to make sure that we are setting those kids up for success. We're diagnosing those challenges earlier. And that's another thing that the board will take up tomorrow, is yet another proposal to have schools spend some of those resources providing additional support to those kids that are falling behind.
And we'll go through tomorrow with the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education meeting to talk about K-12 accountability standards. Aaron, let's get you on afterwards for a little follow-up, okay?
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Yep. Appreciate your time this morning. We are coming up on news at the top of the hour. We will check our CBS World News Roundup. Then hour two will be coming your way right after that. We've got Medical Monday. We've got Stephen Wegas back from LABI. But before that, we will have top stories and trending right after CBS News on Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk. This is off by 10? Oh, holy shit. Okay. My bad. Oh, I didn't know it.
Do what you need to do.
Taylor.
I'm knock jokes. Who?
Taylor and Carrie.
Oh, he bring her.
I should have known that. I could have used time to go poop.
Brain got a poop. Who is Aaron with again?
The Pelican Institute. All right.
Weather here too, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, you want to just record me? Is it Jacelyn Wheat doing it this morning?
Yeah.
Just record me real quick and put it in front of her.
Go ahead.
Time to get a look at your forecast. Here is WBRZ meteorologist Jacelyn Wheat. WBRP. Hour 2 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Chuck P producing. Thanks again to Condon for stopping by last hour. Thanks again to Aaron Bendelee from the Pelican Institute for talking a little K-12 accountability. Going to be interesting to see how it plays out with Bessie tomorrow. Because like she said, our K-3, and Dr. Brumley said this last week, our K-3 students have had nothing but time out of the classroom, or I shouldn't say nothing but, have had so much more out of the classroom than in the classroom than previous grades, previous classes, previous generations. When you look at the transition from COVID to Laura to Ida, you've had all of South Louisiana has had 2 different reasons to not be in school over the last 3 years. That's a setback. One of the things COVID taught us was that outside of the classroom, the virtual learning, the lack of daily interaction in classroom, it's a hindrance. So, and we'll continue that conversation this hour as well. Stephen Wagasback from LABI is going to join us at 7:35. We're going to talk concussions with Our Lady of the Lake for our Medical Monday segment next. But first, it is time for Top Stories and Trending. Let's roll. Yo, what? For the new.
What do you hear? What do you say? Tell me what happened.
Now, Top Stories and Trending.
5, 4, 3, 2, I let one go.
On Talk 107.3 FM.
The most trusted name in news.
I want to know absolutely everything that's happened up to me.
Number 5.
Our news partners over at WBRZ have this one. Breck's Greenwood Park is in the middle of major renovations, and $40 million are going towards changes to the zoo. Right now, Phase 1 and Phase 2 are underway. Phase 1 focused on improving infrastructure and health for the animals. Currently, the zoo has around 40 exhibits, over 400 animals, though the state-of-the-art technology team is working to meet new industry standards. Another part of this project, which is already underway, involves complete reconstruction of the main entrance and relocating the main corridor. That'll help with another problem in itself. Basically, they're flipping the zoo around. The entrance on the side where it's at right now is now going to be the back. Is soon going to be the back of the zoo. The entrance is going to move to the Greenwood Park side, making for a shared space, if you will, between the park and the zoo. Jim Fleischman, Baton Rouge Zoo Director, says traffic becomes an issue during events at the park and the zoo. The lack of parking results often in having no emergency exits or entrances for EMS to access subdivisions along the south side of Thomas Road. This is also, the flip around is going to help in other ways, including a large retention pond, which will filter and carry water into Cypress Bayou. There could be a number of other conservation efforts that factor into this as well. The long and the short of it is we're waiting to see how much these changes are going to have an effect in the overall surrounding neighborhoods, not just the beautification and improvements of the zoo itself.
Number 4.
2 men showed up at a hospital after an unknown shooter opened fire on their car on I-12 early Saturday morning. Irish Police Department said the shooting happened around 3 a.m. on the interstate between Airline and Drusilla while the victims were headed westbound. It wasn't immediately clear where the gunfire came from. The two victims brought themselves to the hospital. 25-year-old driver was not seriously hurt. Police said the passenger, a 28-year-old, suffered grave injuries. There is no clear motive nor suspects at this time.
Number 3.
A man was killed in a hit-and-run crash while walking across Ben Hur Road overnight. Sorry, this was overnight Saturday into Sunday. BRPD said the crash happened on Ben Hur off Burbank near several off-campus LSU student housing complexes around midnight Sunday. Claimed the life of 45-year-old Jude Jarrow. Officers said Jarrow was trying to cross Ben Hur when he was hit by a black Range Rover SUV. He died at the scene. SUV reportedly fled. They don't have any leads on that just yet, but if you know anything, please call Crime Stoppers at 344-STOP.
Number 2.
Person was killed after an unidentified attacker on a four-wheeler fired shots into a car in a neighborhood off Winburn Avenue Friday evening. The two victims were shot around 6:30 p.m. Friday while sitting in a car on Elm Drive just off Winburn. One of the victims, 24-year-old Kenzel Abair, died in the hospital, police said. The extent of the other victims' injuries is unknown. Police have not identified a suspect nor motive in this shooting either.
Number 1.
2 BRPD officers were placed on leave after they shot an armed suspect while responding to a call at an apartment complex on Highland Road Saturday evening. BRPD said the shooting happened around 7:20 p.m. at the Hub Apartments on Highland just off Lee. Officers were responding to a call concerning a person in emotional distress when they heard gunshots coming from a nearby building. That involved an emotionally disturbed person. While they were dealing with that particular incident, they heard shots being fired in the area. They made contact with the person who turned the gun on them, and the officers fired at the particular person, striking him in the upper torso area, said Sergeant Elgene McNeely with BRPD. So the suspect was taken to a hospital, is expected to survive. Sunday afternoon, BRPD placed 2 officers on administrative leave pending an investigation into the shooting. Police attributed the situation to a mental health crisis. Those are your top stories. Here's a look at what's trending this morning. In downtown Baton Rouge, extremely low water levels reveal what's left of a 19th century ship that was destroyed in a wreck. Local resident Patrick Ford was down by the riverfront for one of his daily scavages for artifacts when he came across the shipwreck remains of the Brook Hill, which was exposed above the water, was more than what he expected to find. Quote, I immediately texted friends and was like, holy moly, I think I found a sunken ship. A sunken ship! I'd be like that too. I mean,
you think he really said holy moly?
the story from WBRZ says holy moly.
Okay.
It may have been edited for content.
100?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
No, he said holy moly. I found a melon farming shrimp.
Cheese and crackers.
Shortly after, Ford reached out to experts looking for further explanation of the sunken ship. That's when Chip McGimsey, the state's archaeologist and director of the archaeology division, stepped in. McGimsey says they've known about the Brook Hill shipwreck for quite some time. He said, whatever, we already knew. There's a lot more excitement about it than that. Dr. McGimsey's going to join me at 8:15 to pick up the story from here. Look, no secret here. Total nerddom when it comes to this. Total fanboy when it comes to anything about sunken treasure, buried ships, shipwrecked ships popping up. Here's what I want to know when we talk with Dr. McGimsey at 8:15. How much is down there? What's actually down there that we kind of have an idea about, but don't really know? Are there more? Are we going to find pirate ships? There used to be, and I could be wrong about this, there used to be a Spanish galleon right near the Sunshine Bridge.
I think you're correct.
It may have been a replica of a Spanish galleon, but wasn't there a sunken ship right by the Sunshine Bridge?
I want to say you're correct on that.
I think I'm right about that. I could be wrong. It's been a minute and I drank a lot, so.
It's fair. It's fair enough.
I'll tell you what, we'll talk about that with Dr. McGimsey at 8:15. Right now, though, we are due up for a break, so let's go ahead and take that break right now. Coming back with Medical Monday next on Talk 107.3. Right. Crap! I thought I zeroed this out.
You're going to fade it out. Go to traffic.
No, leave it. It'll sound like ass if you. Let me go back through and make sure that's the only time this happens. Thank you. Good.
Kind of.
She took up for him and took a shot at him.
What?
She called me sir, and I was like, oh. I ain't old
Don't
enough
do
for
that.
I said, I'm not old like your dad. She goes, but dad's not even that old.
Okay. Thank you, Taylor. All right, so I'm going to be off for right now because of the Medical Monday segment, so my mic will be shut down.
It's time for Medical Monday, brought to you in the interest of your health by Our Lady of the Lake Regional Medical Center.
Yes, it is time for Medical Monday, and we've got a topic this week that I think has garnered a lot of headlines lately, and for a very, very good reason. We're talking concussions this week, and we are joined by Dr. Robinson from Our Lady of the Lake. Dr. Robinson, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Doing well. How are you?
Doing very well this morning. I got to start with the most basic of questions, and that is, what is a concussion?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a busy time of the year for concussions. But a concussion, it's defined as a mild traumatic brain injury, and it could be due to direct trauma or indirect trauma to the head. And when I say indirect trauma, acceleration like a whiplash type injury. There are no structural findings so if you were to get imaging, so it's a clinical diagnosis.
So whiplash, but maybe not like a direct impact. Is there misconceptions about them because of that? Like it can come from either?
Yeah, absolutely. People say, well, he didn't get hit in the head or he or she didn't get hit in the head. There's no way it can be a concussion. Car wrecks, you see people that have concussions, but also when, somebody's slung down in a football game, it doesn't necessarily have to be that impact to the ground.
From that perspective, and that's what's going to garner so much attention right now, specifically Tua Tagovailoa for the Dolphins, and we'll get into a little bit more of that in a minute, but who's most at risk for a concussion?
It's obviously those that are at higher risk with the high-impact sports. So, football, you're leading with you're not supposed to lead with your head, but you're certainly at more risk for concussion. I'd say fighters like boxers, UFC. These are things that your head's part of the sport. Soccer, is an increased risk because you're heading the ball. So those type of things are, you can't really avoid or prevent, but you can reduce the risk with those concussions by proper technique and some equipment can help.
Yeah, I've actually been told, and I don't know if this is true or not, but I've been told in the past that both soccer and volleyball net more concussions than football, which sounds crazy.
Soccer, yes. Yeah. Volleyball, not as much.
Okay. So let's talk symptoms. Let's talk what we see outwardly and what people experience when they are going through it.
Yeah, so this is the most difficult part of a concussion because everyone thinks a concussion is loss of consciousness, headache, fatigue. Yeah, there's all these. They try to put it in a box and that everyone fits in this box. Having seen probably thousands of concussions, each one presents a little bit differently. The symptoms can vary, so it can be headache, dizziness, lighter noise sensitivity, nausea, fatigue, short-term memory loss. And this is the part that gets everybody is that it can be immediate or up to 72 hours after the contact.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, but because it's the immediate part that I think everybody really focuses in on. I mean, if somebody gets hit really good, they get up, they go over to the sideline, they appear fine, they keep playing the ball game, they're at a greater risk for further injury, are they not?
For sure. And like you said, the Tua is what's grabbing the headlines, and Look, you have somebody that was maybe past all the symptom scores, didn't have any symptoms, but he had the mechanism and he certainly had the initial symptoms. So, yeah, I would have taken him out as my medical judgment.
Well, okay, so along that line, though, and he didn't start over this weekend, as this is airing on Monday morning. He didn't start over this past weekend. But when it comes to that, you say we had taken him out, but what about playing him on that short week the way they did? I mean, what kind of timelines are we looking at to be just a sideline from duties?
Yeah, so it's a little bit different with pro football than it is with college. They have like an accelerated return to play, or even high school, but pro has an accelerated return to play where they could, technically if he would have come out that first game, he could have had a 4-day return to play and maybe gotten in if he passed everything in concussion protocols. But typically it's like a 6-7 day return to play with our high school athletes. It's a stepwise return to play.
Is there is that because of the way the brain reacts at the age, or is that just because of what's at stake in pro versus high school football?
Yeah, what's at stake? I wouldn't say it has to do with the development of the brain, although the developing brain is obviously a little bit more at risk, I would say. But it's just, I think with what's at stake for the pros.
It's interesting because, like, the younger you are, the better your recovery time for everything else physically. But when it comes to the brain, that game gets a little bit reversed.
It does. You're right. That's a good point.
We are we're talking with Dr. Robinson from Our Lady of the Lake about concussions and concussion protocols and what we've been seeing lately. Doc, have we been seeing more concussions lately? Is it happening more often, or are we just seeing and diagnosing more often?
I think we're just more aware of it. Used to you get your quote get your bell rung, right?
Yeah.
And if you didn't lose consciousness, and they say it's not a concussion, well, now we know it's no longer just getting your bell rung, and you don't have to lose consciousness to have a concussion. So I certainly think there is more awareness. I think we still have some work to do. If Tua's, it's awful what happened, but maybe it's kind of shine some light on how serious we should take it. That we should err on the safe side, and that it's a scary moment. Fortunately things worked out so far, but seeing somebody kind of in that position can be scary.
No, I would certainly imagine so. You brought up the term that I was kind of sitting on for a little bit later in the conversation, but get your bell rung. Is there a difference between getting your bell rung and being fully concussed? I mean, is there like levels to this?
No, so used to there was mild, moderate, severe concussions. That doesn't exist anymore. A concussion is a concussion, because we know that they both have when you say mild, they think they can get back sooner, but we treat them all are serious, right? And why they're serious, why do we even care? Though not just the long term, but the immediate is what's called second impact syndrome. And so if you don't let your brain heal, you're more susceptible to, if you get hit again, to your brain swelling. And so this swelling in the brain is really serious and very, very high mortality rate.
I mean, okay, so that changes this entire discussion when you bring up the term mortality rate. Is that, how frequent is that? How rare is that? And how big of a percentage is that we would see someone, I don't want to put it in these terms, but die on the football field?
Yeah, it's not common, but every few years you'll hear about it, about some high school player. You see it in boxing a lot. Because boxing, these guys just get hit and hit and hit, and then at the end they collapse. And so boxing, you certainly, you hear about it more, but it does happen, but fortunately it's rare.
Let's talk about diagnosis a little bit. Let's talk about concussion protocols a little bit as well. When it comes to diagnosis, is it problematic when the patient themselves, the person who's been concussed, if at the time they still feel like, 100%, does it make things more difficult that their feedback on it is no, I'm good?
It does. Because you don't want to take something away from them. And no matter the level, high school, college, pros, it means a lot to them for their own reasons. But you have to look out for their best interest. You only get one brain, right? You don't get a redo. And so it's diagnosed, clinically. If you see a hit, if you have that stumble, any of those symptoms that you have. And we have sideline assessment tests like the SCAT. These things ask different orientation questions, but also you test their balance. You do check their eyes for the vestibular system. There's just a combination of things you put together, and then you always you err on the safe side.
So you're on the sidelines at Woodlawn High and LSU football games, and I'm sure you've seen more than your fair share of concussions on both levels. Speaking to the listening audience, a number of parents, how can parents and or coaches determine when it's safe for a student or athlete to return to play after a concussion?
Yeah, I mean, it's important because we do have protocols in place that help kids get back, not just safely, but the quickest way. Some providers who aren't trained in concussions, you go to them and they'll just say, rest for 2 weeks. When that's not, usually recovery is 7 to 10 days for most, 90% of people. So you're actually sitting out longer than you should. And then also with these, treatments and warning signs with concussions, if you have a trained provider, you're more aware of those. And it's also important to have that cognitive rest, right, and physical rest. When I say physical rest, I don't mean complete. So we used to say cocoon therapy is how it was treated. Go in a room for 3 days, turn off the lights, and don't come out. We now know that's actually worse than getting some kind of blood flow going. Not sports, but getting up and moving around does help.
Sure. No, absolutely. Hey, you bring up a good point on the back end of that and what we used to believe versus what we believe now. How far have we come with diagnosis and treatment? Like, let's say in the last 20 years or so, because I feel like everything involving the brain has taken major advancements. Would the same be true when it comes to diagnosing and treating concussions?
Yeah, there's still ways to go. There's no foolproof 100% way to, as we've seen, it's not always easy. And sometimes there's judgment calls. But we have come a long way in the awareness of it and the long-term, the studies with long-term consequences. There's still, a lot to know, to be known. How many are too many? That's a question we get all the time. There's not an exact answer. We usually say 3 in 1 year. Not maybe. You definitely should have the conversation of, is this worth the risk? Because each one certainly can have long-term consequences.
No, absolutely. Yeah, and your level of risk goes up. Are you more susceptible to a second or third after your first or second? Like, is it that much more likely, or is this something that's just the same percentage of being concussed regardless of if you've had previous?
Yeah, no, you are more susceptible, and then the recovery time typically is longer with each one. There are different things out there. I don't want to call out different companies or gadgets, but they say they help prevent concussions, but nothing prevents concussions. Maybe they reduce the risk, like the new helmets in the NFL. They reduce the risk, but they don't. You can't prevent it 100%.
Where can folks go if they want to learn more?
So they can go to our website. It's ollrmc.com/sportsmedicine. There's no spaces. And also they can, make an appointment with me if they with any of our sports providers for concussion care. Like it's a passion of mine. I want to get the kids safely and quickly back to sport and doing what they love. And that's where they can find us.
He is Dr. Michael Robinson from Our Lady of the Lake. Thank you for a couple minutes and some fascinating insight. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. No problem.
My appreciation to Our Lady of the Lake from Medical Monday. Very timely topic this week. I'll take a quick break for news, traffic, weather. When we come back, Stephen Wagasback from LABI is next. Okay, so I'm 6 seconds off on this side.
Kevin Gallagher in the Talk 106.
I'm gonna have to talk about that at some point. I don't think the governor's right. I think he has more power for pardons than anything. Oh, am I back on YouTube? Okay. I think the governor has more pardoning power than he thinks he has. I think it's up to the pardoning board to overturn something that he does. I could be wrong about that. But governors have issued pardons in the past. Yeah, I'm not buying a $20 scratch off. Sorry, not sorry. I'm dying to know more about that Kelly rumor. I don't put a whole lot of stock in because, like, these things happen all the time. But there's pictures from concerts. There's it. I don't know. I want to. Monk, 1917. Plethora. Not a plethora, a plethora. That Taysom. Boy, Britannica's slacking on the birthdays today. No, I got a few. It just I got some that Britannica didn't have. Um, 1973.
Poo-poo. Close, you bastard. Ugh. Seven 38 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Time to pick back up on the discussion about K-12 accountability. It's going to be on the agenda for the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education this week. It's on the minds of a lot of folks, and Stephen Wagasback from LABI is one of those folks. Stephen, good morning. How are you, man?
Man, doing great, Brian. Couldn't be better. I mean, look, your Mets, my Cardinals, both made the playoffs. What could go wrong, right? I mean, what could go wrong at all? I mean, obviously they're going to go far and deep and make a big run, right?
Why
Wait,
would you
never
do that?
mind.
Why?
Because you have to be mindful and recognize the down times in order to celebrate the good times. And look, our guys made it, but when you kind of fumble as soon as you get in, it's not a successful season. We had a great run this year as the Cardinals, but look, at the end of the day, if you get your butt handed to you in the first round on a home series and never win a game, that's embarrassing.
Yeah.
And for your Mets, look, in my opinion, they're always embarrassing. But I know you probably have a different story there.
I mean, do I really? There was a book written about the Mets that's called "The Worst Team Money Can Buy." I don't need to be reminded of hard times. Hard times are what we do, brother.
That's it. That's it. Well, look, there's always next year.
Oh, yeah, that's good. We've got ground to cover with education, K-12 accountability, to be specific. And you actually teamed up with Monty Sullivan from over at the Community and Technical College System to talk about this with a recent editorial, man. Tell me all about it.
Yeah, look, I mean, when it comes to accountability formulas, I don't care. That's hard for people to understand or even say, why should I care about it? And I get it, because this is kind of the wonky underbelly of policy that we live in. But most folks just tell me, they want to know, why does this matter to me? Well, look, I can give you a song and dance on why it's good for us to encourage our schools to perform at a higher level, that we've got too many kids ill-prepared, struggling with reading and writing. All that stuff is very, very important. But here's why we're really excited about this. Bessie is considering some new accountability changes, and here's what it's going to do on the career and technical education side. Right now, we know, Aaron mentioned this earlier, there's about 18% of our kids that go into career and technical training coming out of high school. That number needs to be closer to 50-50 for what our market is needing. Now, it doesn't mean every kid has to go that way. We said that those options have to be available at a higher rate. But right now, career and technical education courses in high schools, they're approved one of three ways right now. One is through the Workforce Commission, state agency that can take a look at private providers like the ABC facility out there on Haldane Road and other private training providers, and they can approve those providers to deliver a course. And then the second way is the Louisiana Community and Technical College System. That's the system that is run by Monty Sullivan. He and I wrote that letter this morning, and they approve ones. And look, they have a strong tradition of partnering with local industry and jobs, partnering with local schools, figuring out how to deliver high-quality training. They're the best in the business as far as knowing what job skills are needed and, quite frankly, which ones are no longer needed. So we shouldn't be wasting our time and money and energy training kids on that. The third way courses are currently approved is through the Department of Education. And this is the one that, with this proposal, they're going to be weaned off this program. They no longer will be doing it. And that's a good thing. And Superintendent Brumley said that's a good thing. And the reason why is because they're in the business of schools. They're in the business of curriculum. They're in the business of young students. They're not in the business of monitoring regional job demand. That's not what they do. The law puts them in that category. So what's happened over the years is that third category has approved some career and technical courses which aren't really relevant for students. which doesn't train them for any job we have in the state or in that region. It may be an easier way to put those students to allow for points to be earned, but it doesn't help the kids. And so getting us off of that third category, and from now on what this will say is, all right, high schools, you're going to have an accountability formula that's going to reward you for finding high-quality training. It's going to reward you for partnering with local industry to figure out what the jobs are, and it's going to take away what I would call kind of the open back window of approval. And for no longer can you go to the department and just get some bureaucrat or some low-level person to say, sure, why not? The paperwork's here. Instead, you're going to have to go to the community college system or the workforce commission and show that this training is needed and necessary. And look, that's going to be a game changer for students. And the high schools are rightly going to be rewarded now in the formula on a fair basis to go out and build those partnerships. And so I think, the goal is several years from now, you're going to see where there is career and technical training in high schools. It's going to be of high quality and high relevancy. And that's a big step why a lot of parents should be excited, because you may have a student that's well suited for 4-year, and that's great. The formula is going to reward those schools for getting those kids ready. You may have a student that's more ready for community college or straight to workforce. That's not a bad scenario. That's just a realistic scenario for your student maybe. If that's your case, finally the accountability formula is going to be ready to reward those schools for getting your student ready also. So I think it's a game changer in many ways, especially considering the economy we have and the workforce we need.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Aaron last hour. How do we redefine a win? How do we change the definition of what is and is not a win? We've gone generations where it's college acceptance. How do you translate that into the workforce? And the follow-up there is, how do you keep accountability beyond just landing the job? Because we're talking about, instead of handing kids off to the college environment, handing them off to the work environment. That's a lot of responsibility outside of just, clocking in and out.
Sure. And look, I don't think you can trust a formula to find a win. And formulas are formulas, right? I don't care what you're doing, whether it's the Coke formula or these accountability formulas. They all have, that's just words on paper. The true way to define a win is, where do our students go when they graduate? Do they go to Texas to get a job, or do they stay in Louisiana? Do they have the ability to read and write and have good soft skills and stay off drugs and be a quality member of communities and workforce? Or do they struggle in and out and hop in and out off dependency of government programs and back into the workforce, go back and forth? The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is our sons and daughters that we hope stay here, raise their family here, and find a job here. And right now, those numbers are not where they need to be. And so if we wake up a couple of years from now and we're starting to see that needle move, you're starting to see employers sing a different tune. Because right now, when I talk to employers, they say, oh, my God, we have job openings galore, but we cannot find someone that can get through the application process. And if they do, we're struggling to find people who can stay employed, who can consistently show up and do the right thing. If we start to hear a different tune, that's how you're going to know how we can define a win. It's really in, what do our sons and daughters do with these new opportunities? Do they stay here and prosper, or do they go elsewhere? Or do they drift in and out of the workforce and into dependency programs and kind of keep us in that same, rough spot we're in right now? That's going to be how you define the win down the road.
Yeah, you talk about those soft skills, because there's so much more to that when being, for lack of a better term, released into the wild. I couldn't imagine what my life would be like if at 18, instead of going to college, I had a good paying job and no accountability. Like we're going to need to teach budgeting. We're going to need to bring home ec back into the curriculum, bring not just budgeting money, but budgeting time, budgeting responsibility. Like there's going to be a lot thrust upon these kids that go directly into the workforce that we can be out in front of when it comes to the unintended consequences.
Yeah, and look, on the soft skills part, that's the toughest challenge. Everyone's struggling with soft skills, and there's no off-the-shelf curriculum you can pull and just throw at it and fix it. This is my personal opinion on the soft skills piece. Yes, we have to always do better in education programs to try to deliver that. That's just going to be a constant struggle to continue to get better at it. But let's be honest. The soft skills gap we have today, that is a failure of families in large part. Back in the day when I was growing up, they used to call that manners. And if you were disrespectful to your mom or dad or your neighbors or your teacher or anyone, you were going to hear about it and you were going to be handled. I know it wasn't just in the household. I had to say yes, ma'am, yes, sir, and do everything that was said. It was also when I went to the store and I went to the classroom. And if it didn't happen that way, then my mom was going to hear about it and I was going to hear about it when I got home. And that's how it was handled. And so, yeah, I think people grew up back then with a strong core of manners and respect to build off of. And I think right now we're missing some of that. And there's a lot of, core lessons in those early developmental stages that are simply not being delivered. And so I think parents need to step up and do a better job and not just expect that it's the job of government or schools or everyone to teach their kids to be a good citizen. I mean, that is the role of parents. And if you're not doing that right now, get off your butt and get going at it, because it's your job to turn your kid into a good role model and a good citizen. It's the education's job to train them up. And it's the employer's job to give them a job and paycheck and the skill and the resources to live a successful life. It's your job as a parent to make sure that kid has respect of others and can work on a team and just kind of not be a pill.
Well, I think we're seeing with DCFS and all their crises right now that asking the state to run every aspect of our lives, and when it comes to soft skills that would fall into that, asking the state to run every aspect of our lives, we're going to come up short in that regard. They have enough trouble within education to teach our kids to read before the third grade, which is another thing that Bessie's going to be taking a look at as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, DCFS and others, obviously they've had their rough headlines. But at the end of the day, their main job is to kind of help families be a bridge to find the skills and resources to kind of help them be better at keeping those kids safe. They're not meant to go in there and be the full-time parent or be the full-time security guard in tough situations, but they're being forced to do that because too many households, quite frankly, are not putting a priority on being good role models and good development leaders for their children. And we have to be honest about that.
Yeah.
We need to have a program that really says, parents, step up.
Yeah.
Anyone can be a father, but can you be a dad?
Right.
And it takes a little love and attention and effort and hustle to be a dad. And we got too many fathers who don't have much interest in being a dad, and that's got to change.
All right, last one before I get you out of here, and we got less than 60 seconds left, so I've got to ask you quickly. How do we walk this path of more VOTEC training without squashing dreams? That's the most simple way I could put it. We're talking about kids here. Like, how do we do this without just turning them into drones?
No, that's a good question, but it's not going to happen. The way you do that is you give parents and kids options. Mm-hmm. You show them the different pathways that are out there for a successful life. And you say, hey, look, let's find the one that's best for you. And let's see which one has the most appeal to you. And that's where you do it. I think in today's day and age, you can get all the information you could ever want at your fingertips on your phone at all hours of the day. Kids and parents, if you give them information and the tools to make a choice and quality options on the table, I think they can make choices that work for them. And so if you're a kid in high school and you got the last couple of years, instead of having a dead-end senior year where you're taking partial credit, why not give them the ability to do some dual enrollment, to do some internship, career training programs? They get a taste of what's next. All of a sudden, you might trigger a spark of excitement inside that kid that turns them onto a path of focus as compared to wandering that we got too often these days.
He is Stephen Wagas back from LABI. We always appreciate the time, man. Talk to you next week.
Go Mets, go Cardinals, as always, next year.
Appreciate it. Here's your money now.
The figure in 2015. Adobe says the early discounting has reshaped the shopping year, and high inflation is likely to reduce many Americans' total holiday spending. The next time you take to the skies, your flight might be fueled by a new vegetable. It's corn. Honeywell has a new ethanol to jet fuel processing technology. Demand for sustainable aviation fuel keeps growing, and so Honeywell continues its push into this new market. On Wall Street, futures are lower, with several big market movers on this week's calendar. It's the start of earnings season, with 4 top banks and several big consumer brands set to release earnings starting Wednesday. And on Thursday, we'll get a new monthly report on inflation. Could make for another turbulent week for stocks. It's your money now.
With StarRegistry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com. We will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. New star name will be recorded in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit StarRegistry.com for the hottest gift.
Level to go to college.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Your is a little bit different. Cafeterias on campus where you've got food, you're not like 100% thrown to the wild.
Spend all the money I sent him on Raising Cane's.
Tell me your mic's on for that.
It is.
Okay, good. Because they need to hear that. That's a big part of the equation. Budgeting.
$1,500 meal plan. He didn't even use it.
But there's another part to that. And you and I are like, give me your cafeteria food.
Right.
I would kill for that.
He ate it his freshman year. He's like, oh, the burgers are really good. I'm like, cool, man.
Great. Have you some every day.
Save you some money.
Right. So, but here's the flip side of this, though. Is not having those training wheels into adult life. Okay, fine. We could do with that. We could teach budgeting. We could teach all the other adulting classes we want. But there's a bigger part of this that is going to, for me, is going to be a bigger question mark long term. Now, before I share this take, let me start by saying I 100% agree we need greater technical training, job skills training, taking you off that collegiate path and into the workforce path, taking you off of that path to grab $100,000, $200,000 worth of student loan debt before you've made a dime and go into something that may or may not be a field 10 years from now. Okay, we need to do that. Earn from day one. Start your career path from day one. But how do you walk down this path? And again, I'm in favor of it. But how do you walk down this path without opening up the Pandora's box that leads to a Marxist proletariat? There, I said it out loud.
You did.
I feel a little bit better now.
You did say it out loud.
And now I feel worse. Because I cannot be convinced that we're not at least opening that Pandora's box. How do you control that flame? How do you control that fire? But when you have a numbed mind that is a drone, I do what I do. I get my paycheck every other Friday. With that, I know I'm thinking on scale of, this is something out of a novel, I'm sure. But how do you avoid that? It feels like a good idea. It looks like a good idea. It will be a good idea. But not walking. Were ads playing on the. I see Galen said that.
Yeah, awesome.
All right. But how do you walk down that path? $7:55 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along. Thanks to Stephen Wagasback. Fantastic conversation. It'll be available at talk1073.com after the show is over this morning if you missed out on it or just really wanted to hear it again. And I really appreciate Stephen acknowledging the question and saying it is a good question. When you've got a 17 to 18-year-old, let's back this up a year because they're going to start before senior year. If you've got a 16-year-old, no clue what they want to do with life, it is a bad idea to say, go ahead and take on $100,000, $200,000 worth of student loan debt for something you might not be into in 5-6 years, for something that might not be a field in 5 or 6 years, for something that evidence has shown won't be viable to pay off those student loans, which is why we had to have student loan debt forgiveness. How do you avoid that path without opening the idea that this is a 16-year-old? Just as they don't know what their major is going to be or their field is going to be, narrowing down into a VOTEC path, how do you avoid squashing all the other dreams right there? And I know I sound Pollyanna and idealistic when I say that, but it's a legit question to explore. Is there room on the back end to add potential higher ed on the back end of technical training? Like you want to learn something from a very hyper specific cybersecurity standpoint. Is there room to move you back over to LSU's cybersecurity once you're already on the job from a continuing ed standpoint? conversation's not going away anytime soon. We'll have it a lot more in the near future, and I appreciate Stephen for engaging in that and having the conversation. Right now, we step outside of East Baton Rouge Parish. We have a segment we call The Outside In.
It's time to step outside of East Baton Rouge and get inside our surrounding parishes.
Time for me to be hitting the dusty trail.
The Outside In, presented by BRPT Lake, with 6 locations and extended hours to fit your needs. BRPT Lake has got you covered. Schedule online now at brptlake.com. The Outside In is coming your way now.
Stone! Nowhere. Where are you going to go?
Tangibo Parish, deputies are seeking a 17-year-old suspect they believe was involved in the killing of a 16-year-old at a high school house party overnight Saturday and a Sunday. Sunday morning, the Tangibo Sheriff's Office said they're searching for 17-year-old Bradney McGarry of Hammond, who they believe played a role in the shootout. Sheriff's Office said they responded to the shooting at a home in the St. Paul Loop neighborhood near Morris Road in Hammond late Friday night. Deputies arrived to find, so I guess this was Friday night into Saturday. Deputies arrived to find a 16-year-old boy was struck by gunfire. He died at the scene. Investigators say a physical fight started outside the party. That situation escalated from there. Heading down to New Orleans, security and safety improvements are underway in the French Quarter. Back on Thursday, city councilors approved an ordinance to allocate $780,000 in change to improvements that will include additional lighting, the purchase and installation of security cameras, and training for the French Quarter Supplemental Patrol Program through the New Orleans Police Department. City said it's going to use surplus funds they already have to reallocate them and make these improvements. There are surplus funds right now? Sounds like LaToya needs more ticket upgrades. Over in St. Landry Parish, for the past 2 months, residents have been noticing brown water coming out of their faucets, and I don't mean whiskey. Some of them say the water's been clogging up their tubs and sinks as well. Residents have resorted to using bottled water instead of tap water, even though officials say the water's been tested and it's actually fine to consume. Waterworks District Number 2 President Sam Ducey shared the reason the water is brown and whether or not it represents a risk to the community. He talked about it. He said officials want the public to know St. Landry Parish has been fighting brown water for many years. Department of Health tests it every month. It is safe. They've been approved for $2 million for a complete system rebuild, which would include more iron filtering and new water adjusters. Closing out in Lafayette, state police have completed their investigation of an officer-involved shooting that happened outside a nightclub and have delivered their findings to the Lafayette District Attorney. Records produced by LSP indicate investigators found no probable cause to charge for an officer involved in the 2021 shooting, which left one man dead and a woman injured. The state police report indicates this started from a fight with concert goers that was at the district bar and grill. That is the Outside In. Here's CBS News. It's the back end of it that worries me. It's the idea that, yes, it's going to be great that more people will be job force ready. But part of the American dream is the dream. If you're killing off dreams by 15, 16 years old or earlier, if this is a success, we're going to back it up, right? If it's a success senior year, we'll introduce it to more juniors. If it's a success junior year, we'll introduce it to more sophomores, and so on. So, yes, it would be great that we'll have more people who know how to repair airplanes, but part of the American dream is the dream. And if you want to avoid that mind-numbing, just, I don't know. I don't, I'll figure out a better way to describe it. But it's the type of thing that's so far-fetched, everyone's going to crap on me for saying it. Never happened. Never happened. More people will be working. Wider, broader tax base. Yes, I understand all the benefits, which is why I'm 100% in favor of it. Just saying, let's keep one eye out. Jay's coming in. Oh. High school education should offer basic academic preparation for either college or trades. Eric says, I don't know. I know more folks living comfortably with the trades than some with college degrees. So do I. So do I. That's not the point. And yes, high school should be preparing you for life. From a college standpoint, from a trade standpoint, from a life skills standpoint, yes. Oh, sinus headache is back. All right, super awesome.
Sinus headaches are fun.
I physically can't take in more caffeine right now. You know what I feel like right now? You remember mini thins?
Oh yeah, that's how I got through high school.
I feel like I'm on mini thins right now.
Jeez.
Like there's that fog that like I feel like there's a gap between my brain and my skull. Like it just
Yeah.
I might not be making sense at all out loud. You just let me know if I curse on air, please.
I'm just waiting for that day. I know it's gonna happen.
You know, one day have you ever dropped an F-bomb on air?
I have not. Amazingly.
I have, and it was completely on accident.
I've said shit on air.
I don't know if I've said shit on air. I was trying to say have fun and good luck at the same time. And what came out of my mouth was have fuck.
Oh, that's great.
And the more I tried to correct it, the more hilarious it got.
That's so good.
I didn't say it again, but like trying to explain the level of stupidity it takes to combine have fun and good luck. I got more moronic across the board.
Thanks, Taylor.
Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. Hour 3 of Mornings with Brian Haldane coming your way right now. Brian here with you. Chuck P producing. Busy hour coming your way this hour. 3 guests this hour, in fact. We're going to have Dr. Chip McGimsey on in our next segment. You may have heard the trending story and top stories of trending, or you may have just seen it on WBRZ's website. The Mississippi River is so low right now.
How low is it?
It's so low that Lil Jon and the East Side Boys might do a song about it.
Oh, okay.
No, it's so low right now that a wrecked ship from the 1800s was revealed. Dude walking along the river looking for artifacts, which I'd like that kind of time. A dude walking along the river looking for artifacts found himself a big old one. And he stumbled across a boat, called the state archaeologist. The archaeologist said, yeah, we've known about this for 30 years. But great, congrats on finding it. I'm making fun. It was actually really, really cool the way it all played out.
We'll hide it in the most obvious spot.
Right?
The water.
But how much else is down there?
Who knows?
How many pirates went up and down that river? How many escaped slaves were trying to go down that river?
Oh, man.
Right?
That's a thought. Jeez.
How many battles were fought militarily?
How much gold or like how much treasure?
Right.
Let's search for treasure.
There is an island in the North Atlantic.
Here we go.
You knew it was
I knew it.
So, okay, for those that aren't up to speed, I'm a big fan of the Curse of Oak Island on the History Channel.
A mystery that will never be solved.
Oh, no. We'll
What season are they on right now?
92, I think.
Yeah.
They've passed things off to their sons by this point.
Jeez.
So, but there's intrigue there. There's imagination. There's dreaming that goes along with this. It opens up the imagination. It sparks our inner Johnny Quest.
Ooh.
Our inner Scooby-Doo.
Can I be Haji?
Yeah. Yes.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
We'll talk with we'll talk with Dr. Chip McGimsey in the next segment. We're going to talk with Jay and Cody later on this hour. We have Jay on as off this weekend, our afternoon drive host and traveling man lately. That's probably what we're talking about today. And we're also going to talk with George Bell from the Capital Area United Way. Don't look now, but Jambalaya Jam is this week. So we're going to close out the show with George Bell at 8:55. Right now, though, it's time to roll back the clock. It is time for This Day in History. TSA.
Say, kids, what is that?
History.
It feels good to be back on This Day in History, B.
Doesn't it, though?
It does. I missed this.
Yeah.
A couple of history stories for today.
I would hope so.
Going back to 1865. You a pool player, B? You like to play the little...
Only when I'm drinking.
Only when you're drinking.
Yep, my geometry gets better.
Okay. Well, on this day in 1865, John Wesley Hyatt patents the billiard ball.
Nice.
Made from cellulose nitrate, in case you didn't know.
I didn't know that.
There you go. Patented today in Albany, New York. Albany, Albany, however you want to say that.
Yeah.
1871. This is a big one. The Great Chicago Fire.
Ooh.
Finally extinguished after 3 days, leaving approximately 300 dead and 100,000 homeless, and costing the city of Chicago $222 million in damage.
In 1800s dollars.
Yeah, so that's what?
Trillions.
Yeah, at least.
It would be $1 trillion today.
Yeah. This day in history, 1913, the Panama Canal officially joined the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean when the Gamboa Dike was demolished with charges of dynamite.
There's be a lot of nautical stories today, aren't there?
Yeah, look at that.
All right.
Another nautical story. This day in history, 1985. The hijacking of the Italian cruise ship Achille Lauro, which was hijacked on October 7th, reaches a dramatic climax when the U.S. Navy F-14 fighters intercept an Egyptian airliner attempting to fly the Palestinian hijackers to freedom and force the jet to land at a NATO base in Sigonella, Sicily.
Okay.
American and Italian troops surrounded the plane, and the terrorists were taken into Italian custody.
You didn't have 1845 in there?
No, I did not. What do you have in 1845?
Wasn't the U.S. Navy founded today?
I don't know. I didn't.
I'll look that up. I'll look that up.
You look it up.
It's off the top of my head, so I might be wrong about the date.
Okay. All right.
Founding of the U.S. Naval Academy was today.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
That's an important thing as well.
It is.
Moving on to birthdays. 1924 on this day.
I know it.
Director Ed Wood.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
He of Plan 9 from Outer Space.
Yeah. Hey, this day in 1970, Fiji gained independence.
Okay.
And in 1973, Spiro Agnew resigned.
Saw that. I was debating whether I wanted to talk about that or not.
Kind of a big deal.
Sure. Who remembers Spiro Agnew? Show your hands.
Well, it was the only time in our nation's history that
a vice president did something like this.
But it led to Gerald Ford becoming president while not on a ticket. So,
well there you go.
All right.
Cyril Neville, he of the Neville Brothers out of New Orleans, born this day, 1948. Rocker David Lee Roth, former frontman of Van Halen. By the way, are you a Van Halen or a Van Hagar guy?
I am both. Don't force me to make a choice.
That's fine. Fair enough. Born this day,
if I'm choosing, it's Van Halen.
Yes, thank you. That's the correct.
I mean,
that's
just,
the correct.
I don't like pooping on Hagar because everybody else does.
Hagar is a great singer. David Lee Roth was a great showman.
Right.
They rocked harder with Roth than they did with Hagar.
Yes.
He was born this day, 1954. Country legend Tanya Tucker, born this day, 1958. Louisiana's own Steve Scalise, born this day, 1965.
Hey!
Former NFL quarterback and all-around horrible person Brett Favre, born this day, 1969.
I mean, if he's not stealing money from the,
Yeah.
Go back to sending picks, buddy.
Yeah, you're better off doing that. And Saved by the Bell's very own AC Slater, Mario Lopez, born this day, 1973.
You had AC Slater, but not Thelonious Monk. That's weird.
I didn't see Thelonious Monk.
I saw Thelonious Monk, 1917.
Wow.
Dale Earnhardt Jr.
Oh, I did have that. I forgot to put it on the list. I did see that, and I didn't put it.
And fresh off a loss in the Dome, Geno Smith.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, I could have, but he's been beat up enough.
And former New Orleans Saint Brett Perryman.
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay, there you
go.
Yeah. Deaths today. 1985, legendary director Orson Welles passed away.
Somebody else died on that day, too, Orson Welles and Yul Brynner died on the same day.
That's the next one.
Oh.
I had that.
Okay.
You didn't give me time to get to it.
Said somebody else died on the same day, and you stayed quiet.
Well, I thought you may have had someone else besides Yul Brynner, so
All
I'll
right.
let you have your moment.
Okay, I spoiled it. Sorry.
Do you know what Orson Welles' last acting credit was before he died?
Rosebud. It wasn't.
No, that was the first movie.
It wasn't War of the. His last one was it like a commercial for frozen peas?
No,
Oh.
he was the voice of Unicron, the planet-eating robot in Transformers the movie.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
Going out with a bang. And you said Yul Brynner also passed on this day, 1985, same day, which is crazy. The legendary Christopher Reeve, Superman himself, passed away on this day in 2004. And former NFL superstar Alex Karras passed away on this day in 2012.
Yep.
Anybody I missed on those deaths?
Nope.
Good. All right. Well, that concludes.
We got national days. It's Columbus Day. Today is Columbus Day.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It is Columbus Day.
Which would be another nautical theme.
Yeah.
Panama Canal.
That's true.
Naval Academy.
Not the most accurate
Achille
sailors.
Bees would it be?
He found it. He found it. Third time's a charm, they say.
Yes. All right. I mean, it's not like you could just, pull up a Google map and get there.
Also true.
Speaking of which, let's talk about that.
Google
Sunken
Maps?
ships.
Oh.
Coming up next. We've got Dr. Chip McGimsey coming up next. All right. I don't know if we're calling him or he's calling us. So
you have a number?
Yeah.
Hold on. Turn off your mic.
Did it again, damn it. I zeroed out all these. I don't know why these spots are coming back in.
Because of the system update.
Well, now I've got to fully replace this thing because it played twice in this show. I heard it twice on the way in this morning. What was I looking up? $8:15 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. We're getting you to our state's archaeologist in just a minute, Dr. Chip McGimsey. Got to remind you, though, about the folks over at Complete Collision Center, 2 locations, Plank Road and Zachary, and the corner of Bluebonnet and Perkins. They're actually just behind the corner of Bluebonnet and Perkins. Look, I tell you about them every day, and for good reason. They're certified by more than a dozen major car manufacturers. They are certified. They've got the iCar Gold Class certification, which puts them in the top 15% of body shops nationwide. But more importantly than that, it's the little things. It's the communication. It's the transparency. It's being upfront with you as it's your car that's being taken care of. Getting you back on the road safely is the utmost important thing. Quickly, sure. Affordable, sure. Safely. That's knowing those intricacies, those redundancies, every safety feature that your car has, making sure it's back to the way it came off the assembly line in the first place. That's what Doug and his team do. Call them at 768-9898, 768-9898, or check them out online at CompleteCollision.com. Don't let who you choose to repair your vehicle be your second accident. Check out Complete Collision Center. All right, guys walking along the Mississippi River. He takes a look down and says, well, that looks like a boat. And turns out it is. He hands off to Dr. Chip McGimsey, the state's archaeologist and the director of the Archaeology Division, who joins us now. Dr. McGimsey, good morning. Welcome to Talk 107.3. How are you, man?
Good morning. Delighted to be here.
No, glad to have you on here. I love when stories like this pop up because they just spark the imagination. But before we walk down that path, let's walk down the path of what actually went down when this boat was found. Your phone rings and take it from there.
Well, actually, it wasn't a phone call. It was an email.
Okay.
The fellow who first reported it, Mr. Ford, actually reached out to the history department at LSU. They sent it to the archaeology department at LSU, who then sent it to me. And then I got back in touch with Mr. Ford, and we went down and visited it last week.
What kind of shape's it in? How much of it is there still that's, recognizable?
Oh, you have no trouble recognizing it as a shipwreck.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100 feet long and about 15 feet wide, but it's only half of the original boat. So the other half is missing.
I would assume just washed away, or do we think we'll stumble upon it somewhere else?
I don't know because I can't see into the bank, but I would assume that the rest of it has probably washed away.
So the ship itself is the Brook Hill. What do we know about the Brook Hill's history?
The Brook Hill was built in 1896 in Indiana. It was specifically built for the Baton Rouge Greater Western Transportation Company, which at that time had the city contract to operate the ferry across the Mississippi River. So the Brook Hill and her sister ship, the Estruma, were built at the same time. The Estruma was the daytime ferry. The Brook Hill was the nighttime ferry, according to the news reports. And on September 29th, 1915, there was a tremendous storm, and both ships sank. The Estruma broke free from the dock and sank somewhere downriver, but nobody's ever bothered to say where. The Brook Hill was smashed up by a raft of logs, and she sank right at the wharf or the dock. And that's almost certainly what's sitting there today.
Okay, so with the Brook Hill, and according to report that I read from WBRZ, y'all have known about this for a good while now. Are you able to learn more this time around than last time around?
We will be able to learn more. So when it was exposed in 1992, basically there was still mud completely filling the hull and all around it. All you could see was the very top edge of it. And so they were only able to look at very tiny portions of the wreck to try and figure out what it was and how old it was. But what Mother Nature has done now in this exposure is she's basically washed all the mud away, so that you can see probably 90% of it just lying out there on the bank right now.
Do we have plans for it? Are we going to do anything with it?
No.
Okay.
To be honest, she's not important enough to make a major effort to try and save. You know, this was a fairly common style boat at the time, and it would take millions of dollars to get her off the bank, conserved, and then, you know, housed in a place where people could visit.
How often does something like this happen?
Whenever the Mississippi River gets really low, shipwrecks tend to pop up. So many years ago, a company went through and tried to make a list of all the shipwrecks that had been recorded in Louisiana, mostly going through newspaper accounts from, you know, the 1800s and whatnot. And they came up with a list of like 300 or 400 ships that there was some record had sunk somewhere, you know, in Louisiana rivers. So there are a lot of wrecks out there on the bottom.
What's the likelihood that we come across the rest of them? I mean, it's because we don't hear about this very often. And if there's 300 to 400 that are out there, what would it take to discover these things? Because I find these things just absolutely fascinating.
Right. So there's a couple of options. One is you wait for the river to drop. But, you know, even a river like the Mississippi, you only see a portion of the bank. And if it's out in the main channel, you know, it will never be exposed. But archaeologists have tools for looking below the water using side scan sonar, sub-bottom profilers and whatnot that allow you to identify wrecks in deeper water and can provide a really nice picture of them.
What pieces of history could we hope to learn from not necessarily the Brook Hill, but when we discover shipwrecks like this, are there examples of different things that we've learned about our own history from these types of incidents?
Well, certainly. I mean, one of the things that's fascinating here in Louisiana and a lot of coastal states is you had a lot of local boat builders, you know, who were building, you know, boats up to, you know, maybe 75 or 100 feet long, you know, specifically designed to work on Louisiana bayous because you need a small, agile boat to get around. And, you know, back in the 1700s, the 1800s, there were not plans that you could write off for, you know, and have mailed to you and say, okay, here's how you build it. You know, people were building them out of local knowledge, local experience, using local, you know, resources. And so you get a lot of idiosyncratic designs. You know, each boat can be just subtly different than the one on the next river over because a different person was in charge of the boat building. So, you know, when we look at something like the Brook Hill, what we're really looking at is how she was built. You know, how they put her together, you know, what the structure was, what the framing was, and those kinds of things. And they tell us a lot about what the boat building techniques were at the time, and sort of illuminate that period of history.
We're talking with Dr. Chip McGimsey. He's our state's archaeologist. Dr. McGimsey, are there any boats that you're actually looking for, like you know the boat, you know the name of it, you know roughly where it crashed? Is there anything out there that you've kind of got on your radar?
Not specifically at this time. You know, the Brook Hill was a serendipitous discovery, and perhaps with all the media attention, people will point to us, you know, towards other wrecks. But there's not one that we're specifically looking for at this time.
Throughout Louisiana's history, we've been the site, we've been the front lines of a number of different wars. Have we had any examples, you know, that have come across your desk or your office that has given us insight into, you know, past events, not just the making of, not just the culture of the time, but something that would have actually been, like a War of 1812 sort of thing.
Right. We have not found anything from before the Civil War, but there are any number of Civil War wrecks in the river. And a number of years ago, a Union gunboat, the USS Kentucky, was partially excavated up in the Red River Valley. And some folks might remember, I think it was in the 1990s, mid-90s, Clive Cussler, the famous author, who's very interested in shipwrecks, actually hired a company to do a survey here in the Baton Rouge area looking for the Confederate gunboat, the CSS Arkansas. They think they found the location. It's now basically under dry ground. So there are opportunities like that do come up.
Is there anything that, just from a pure curiosity standpoint, is there anything that you've had an interest in that you might consider making, a little more active search for?
At this particular point, in time, I don't know of a particular wreck that I would be looking for. I personally certainly have a really strong interest in dugout canoes that were made by Native Americans, and they tend to pop up at this kind of time. So as well as, pirogues or plank canoes made, during the historic period. I was out in the Atchafalaya Basin just 2 weeks ago looking at one of those that was probably abandoned in the 1930s.
Oh, wow. Okay. So that happens a lot more often than we'd think as well, huh?
Oh, yes. I've been here for, 25 years, and I guess I've probably seen almost a dozen dugout canoes and, other canoes discovered. The biggest one was found back in 2016 on the Red River north of Shreveport, and it's 34 feet long.
What? That's awesome.
Yes, and it will shortly, we hope 6 to 8 months from now, it will be on display at the Bossier City at the Red River National Wildlife Refuge.
All right, we got follow-up. We're gonna have to check that out. Last one before I get you out of here, and please take this with the greatest salt that is being asked. Are we ever gonna find Jean Lafitte's treasure?
The odds are not good for two reasons. One, I would be very doubtful that he actually ever stored his treasure in the ground, because most pirates and other people want it where they can spend it. And second of all, so far nobody has any clue where that might be.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna. All I'm extracting from that is you're saying there's a chance, and that's all I'm taking away from it. Dr. Chip McGimsey, Dr. McGimsey, I appreciate you hopping on board for a couple minutes and answering a couple questions. Something like this is it's fun when it pops up, and thanks for walking the path with us, sir.
Not a problem. Glad to help.
Always, thanks. I'm telling you, Nicolas Cage, National Treasure 3, it's got to happen.
That could be season 2 of the series if it's successful.
I may or may not have talked to the people that produced it, and may or may not have dropped that bug in their ear, and they may or may not have been intrigued. I don't know. I'm never going to see a dime from it, just like Dr. McGimsey said we're never going to see a dime from his treasure.
Nope.
Here comes CBS. Jada Cody's next. He was better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah.
I was ready for that to suck, and he was good. Gina Davis is on Good Morning America. I haven't seen her in a decade and a half.
Wow, what did she do?
She was good. All right, give me the hate, y'all. Let me hear it. Come on.
On what? Talking about boats?
Yeah. Oh, shit, we haven't any comments in a long time. All right. Yeah, a boat. Okay. Pirates want to have their money where they can spend it. I get that. but a boat goes down in a storm while carrying a lot of money. Do you offload the boat in the middle of the storm, or do you do your best to protect it and come back?
Good question. Do you post Condon segment as well? Yeah. Okay. I didn't put that one up.
Everything's on Twitter. Nothing's on Facebook right now. Which Facebook has been.
What up, Cody?
What up, yo? Speak the treasure.
We thought you was a toad.
We should go on a treasure hunt.
Let's look for treasure.
I'm down.
Into the
I'm
thick
always
of
down
it.
for a treasure hunt.
Into the thick of it.
I spent like 7 seasons watching a fucking treasure hunt and just got no. Oh,
you still watch.
That pops on me. Anyway, I spent 7 seasons watching the Curse of Oak Island. That got me nothing. Ew, a coin.
Gentlemen,
Scott,
Mr. Rob. Yes.
okay, I gotta change the. So I come in. I do it before I record with Rich, before I do the shoot with Rich.
Yeah.
But, hey, Rich is coming up next. Chris is off.
Yeah, I got him all week.
I'm gonna go change that right now.
Cool. So much shit on my calendar today.
Do what?
So much shit. I got a bunch of client sessions this afternoon. Got to go voice track
would
with Chris.
would it help you to not do the show at Government Talking and just be in studio? Because I have.
I mean, unless it works better for you.
It's really the same for me. But I have not confirmed that with John. Like, I need to reach. It's not going to be a problem.
Right.
Monday afternoon. But I was going to send him a text and remind him we're coming in today.
Yeah.
But if it would make more sense to.
I mean, Grant's already coming in, so.
Okay.
And then that way I don't have to stick around for financial fitness. I can just leave after we're done and go home.
Okay. So it's better if we do go to Government Talking.
For that, yes. For that part of my day, yeah. Still trying to figure out Friday. My friend, I texted her over the weekend. She said it's fine, but she doesn't live in Lafayette. She lives like 30 minutes outside Lafayette.
Which direction?
I don't know.
If she's in like Karen Crow or something north of Lafayette, then we're good.
I don't think so.
If she's in Broussard or something,
I think
then
she's closer to Broussard.
that's kind of a pain.
Right, that's out of the way. So.
And we just need to be earlier.
Oh, I do my own weather here.
Right.
Okay. Oh, man. Today's high is supposed to get up to 85 degrees, though looking at it, I wouldn't be shocked if we don't see that number. Now, overnight low tonight, we're going to get down into the 50s, probably about 57 before the sun comes back up tomorrow. Tomorrow, we do have a 30% chance of rain in the forecast, but our chance of rain really kicks in on Wednesday when it gets up to 70%. After that, it's going to clear back out again and no more rain until probably the following Monday or so. So that dry pattern will continue with the 1 day worth of much needed rain. Highs all week long in the mid 80s, overnight lows in the mid 60s, with the exception of going into tomorrow morning when we'll get down to about 56, 57 degrees. Right now, we are looking at 58% humidity and 66 degrees in downtown Baton Rouge. 837 Talk 107.3 FM WBRP. Mornings with Brian Haldane rolling right along.
Why you looked at me like that?
I don't know what it just kind of came out of nowhere.
The Doobie Brothers?
What?
The Doobie Bounce got you early in the morning?
Well, Yacht Rock there.
Yeah.
It's Yacht Rocktober, Haldane.
Yeah.
I don't know these things. Yacht Rocktober?
Yacht Rocktober.
And welcome
I'm
Jay and
bouncing
Cody
over
into the
here.
show. You are. You're digging this.
I got the Doobie Bounce.
That's the Monday vibe, right?
There it is.
That is the Monday vibe. What's happening, brother?
Man, making it. Doing well. Had a great day on campus despite the game on Saturday.
Dude, the whole day.
I'm not worried about the game.
No, me neither.
You know, I had a great day.
So I'm not worried about the game because that's the difference between number 8 and probably deserving to be a little higher than number 8. Number 8 and number 25. And we were probably a little high for number 25.
Yeah.
So it just, I wasn't hating on the game. How much did you interact with Tennessee fans?
A decent amount. I have nothing but positive things to say.
A's across the report card.
Yeah.
They were fantastic.
Yep.
And this is why I appreciated the whole day, was because you get to step away from that regular conference hatred.
Yeah.
Like that, I just detest Florida and Mississippi State and Alabama.
Right.
And
Well, it's
don't
teams
even
that
get me
you play
started on
every year.
A&M. Right.
But yeah, a team that you play once every, or that we get at home anyway, once every 12 years.
Right.
And when we get to make the trip to Knoxville, it's one of the coolest places in the SEC to play. And the tailgating on the river and all that kind of stuff. Like, I wish we got to do that more than once a decade, or even more so now, more than once a decade. But and same thing with them coming to Baton Rouge. You know, I mean, they don't get to do it enough, and especially with a good football team.
Yes, and it was in spite of the result on the field, which, a number of things contributed to that. In spite of that result, it was collegial, if you will.
Yeah,
kind of the way it's supposed to be.
Yep.
So, I'm glad to have you in the studio because that seemed to be a rarity this month. You were out and about, man.
Been all over the place, and we'll continue heading to Lafayette tomorrow. I'm speaking at TBEX, which is a big travel blogger and media and influencer conference. People from the tourism industry and travel media industry from around the country and even some from around the world are going to be in Lafayette this week. And I'm giving a keynote on Thursday morning, but the opening reception for speakers and other stuff is tomorrow evening. So I'm going to be in Lafayette for that and then stay there through Thursday. And then Chuck and I are heading to Shreveport for Great Raft Brewing's 9th anniversary party.
That happened fast.
Yeah, I know. 9 years for Great Raft Brewing. Congrats to them. We'll be broadcasting live on the Jay Ducote Show from Great Raft Brewing on Friday. And then from the 7th Tap, which is a brewery in Shreveport, on Monday as well. And then I'm staying in Shreveport Tuesday to do a chef dinner at the Shreveport Club. And then we'll be back here, but then it won't be long before I'm gone again.
No doubt. Your keynote is going to be on what? What do you talk about specifically?
I'm the opening keynote for this conference. It'll be my job to kind of welcome people to Louisiana. A lot of that will be talking about some Louisiana culture and from a travel and tourism point of view, bringing people into Louisiana, what to expect in Louisiana for people that are outside the state, but also then to kind of share my story about who I am and why I'm there and the things that I've done in the food and travel world, the TV shows that I've been on, all that kind of stuff, and just kind of entertain and inspire, and then welcome everybody to the conference.
TBEX says the travel blog exchange, I think.
Yeah.
So what's new in that world right now? Because coming out of COVID, I would imagine people are just flocking there right now to see, like, what have I missed over the last 3 years?
Yeah, that's a great point because the travel and tourism industry obviously got rocked hard by COVID and shutdowns on travel, all of hospitality, including all the hotels and travel, whether it's airlines or whatever, just, came to a screeching halt and then has kind of slowly been picking back up over the years. It's booming right now. I mean, people are trying to move all over the place. People are getting after those experiences that they haven't had in a few years. And it's a really interesting time in that travel space because a lot of the tourism bureaus and people that spend the money in that world doing destination marketing, Visit Baton Rouge here representing us, and Louisiana Travel representing the whole state, they've got budget and money to kind of spend that they had to hold back on while they weren't spending those dollars. So it's an interesting time there. The travel blogger exchange, that blogger part of it was a really big deal a decade ago, and going back to 2009, I got into the food world through blogging. Blogging isn't as big of a deal anymore. Like that influencer term is really where it's at now.
Yeah.
And whether that's still doing some sort of blog or content that's recurring in a little bit longer format, or if it's just straight social media, whether that's Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, others, or in the podcast or other digital space or terrestrial space like we're in right now, YouTube, like there's so many different ways to be that travel influencer.
Right.
And then so many different parts of travel to be an influencer in. I stick in the food and beverage space.
The travel influencer is one that's intrigued me because the influencer is often going to like work on relationships with places where they can go and kind of be, wined and dined a little bit. But this is an industry that's based off of yield, and when demand is high, they're not going to have room to take care of them, so they're not going to be as spoiled as they otherwise would be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a space where I don't know if we've hit the sweet spot yet of getting honest reviews with the properties being at their best at the same time.
Yeah. It can be tricky for that for sure. Any cruise line that's going to welcome a travel influencer onto their cruise ship, they're getting nothing but positive press from that influencer, right? Like,
right.
The cruise ship is giving that influencer a week cruise to create content on their behalf while they're on the cruise ship.
Right.
So it's not a review per se.
No,
it's content creation.
But yes, the content they create though will be based off, like, let's use LSU and LSU. Well, let's use Baton Rouge and an LSU football weekend as an example. Okay, if you're a hotel or a local restaurant or whatever, and there's a content creator coming to town, you are not going to be able to offer them the level of attention and all the other care on Alabama weekend that you would on New Mexico weekend.
Yep.
So if they come in on New Mexico weekend, then they get the discounted room and they're given VIP status wherever they go.
Sure.
They're still, the content that creators can be like, I don't know what the hype's about. This place was dead. Well, because you came for New Mexico weekend.
Yeah.
You don't have the space or the level of attention when it's the big spot, when it's the Alabama or the Tennessees or whatever.
Yeah, and that's why the destination marketing organizations, the Visit Baton Rouge of the world, they're going to organize those groups of travel media and travel influencers to come in when they can kind of spearhead the organizing of something worth showing off.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And unfortunately, our calendar is growing back to the place where we have enough of that. We don't have to be dependent on one or two big events.
Yep.
So just kind of looking for that sweet spot. Another thing that we're back into since COVID, and this revolves around your world as well, is the catering events.
Yeah.
You've got a number of them coming up on your calendar. What's that been like getting back into that water?
It was tricky with the schedule and the calendar, but fun because I get to be a little bit more selective about what I say yes to and the kind of events that I want to do. But yeah, there's definitely a demand for it. Again, there are people trying to get together, and one of the first things they're thinking about is the food part of it. What are they going to eat? What could they do that's interesting that would excite people, their guests, their clients, whatever it might be. So yeah, it's been fun getting back into that. And some of that I'm doing a fundraiser for the Rural Life Museum, their Red Rooster event in November.
Okay.
That's going to be a big barbecue spread for a couple hundred people.
Nice.
So that'll be a fun one for me to do, right up my alley. And then in December, I'm actually traveling to Richmond, Virginia, to cook for some people there. That's going to be a huge deal. I'm cooking for a party honoring essentially the swearing in of the new bishop of the Episcopal Diocese of Virginia.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, a guy named Mark Stevenson, and then Michael Curry, who is the presiding bishop of the Episcopal Church, is going to be in attendance. He actually delivered a sermon at the royal wedding of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry a couple years ago. I mean, he's the top of the Episcopal Church.
Very nice.
He's going to be at this party that I'm catering. So yeah, there's some stuff like that that's popped up that's just been
and seeing these
wild.
come back on the calendar is just one of those slower parts of it, slower parts of the pandemic. to getting back to life. Hey, in the next segment, we got George Bell coming on to close out the show from the Capital Area United Way Jambalaya Jams this week.
Oh, I love the Jambalaya Jams.
Okay, so you and I, we've both judged that in the past.
Yep.
And they give you the ground rules or what you should be looking for. Yeah. How closely to that do you stay? Because I just would flush that.
Yeah, man. Jambalaya is one of those for me, and judging, if you're truly out there in Gonzales at the Jambalaya Festival and everybody's got kind of the exact same ingredients and they're cooking over a hardwood fire and all that kind of stuff, I go by the book. But for this Jambalaya Jam that's held downtown and it's all these United Way sponsors going against each other, I mean, the first thing I'm looking for is how badly do I want another bite? Yep. I mean, if you're tasting 20, 25, 30, 40 jambalayas, like, you don't want another bite of all of them.
Exactly.
It can be pretty easy to just be like, yes or no, do I want to take another bite of this one? And if it's no, then you just move on, Yeah. And if it's like, whoa, wait a minute, that one was good, I want another bite, then you're going to give it a pretty high mark.
Even if it doesn't stick to all the, specifications that they gave you early on. I'm right there with you. And it's so difficult because, like, if you have one bite of every one, you're going to be so far beyond stuffed.
Yeah.
And there's 4 or 5 of them where inevitably you just go back in for more. And it's like, no, stupid, you know better than this. But you don't.
Yeah.
Every single time. Hey, last one before we get you out of here.
Okay.
We had the state archaeologist on.
Yeah, we're going on a treasure
segment.
hunt.
Okay, yes. Do treasure hunts intrigue you?
Yeah. Yeah,
You. I feel like I'm on an island every single time. Like I'm just alone.
Absolutely.
This level of nerddom of wanting to go find treasure.
And I think that kind of content's still really hot right now. Y'all are talking about National Treasure and them filming more of them. I just watched Uncharted with Mark Wahlberg.
What a terrible movie.
So got really off the rails, right? But the whole thing is a treasure hunt. I mean, the premise of the movie that came out earlier this year is a treasure hunt, kind of like National Treasure. Outer Banks, the hit show on Netflix that I'm very into. It's a treasure hunt.
That one. That one's been around for a bit.
Just like the Goonies, it's a treasure hunt.
Okay, I'm in. I'm down for that. What's on the show today?
We're going to be live at Government Taco.
Okay.
Yeah, Margarita Monday at Government Taco. Chuck and I are going to head over there and eat some tacos, hang out. Might have Justin from Cypress Coast Brewing, our neighbor, join us. But if not, Chuck and I are just going to drink margaritas and we'll talk about movies. Jay and Chuck at the Movies, brought to you by Slappy Mama Cajun Seasoning, will be today, and we'll see what else we get into.
Very cool stuff. He is Jay Dakota. You know where to find him. 4 to 6 right here on Talk 107.3 FM. That's where to find him on the radio, where to find him in real life. Well, he's everywhere. So, I mean, you chase if you want to, but. All right, we got a break here coming up. We got one more segment to go. It is Jambalaya Jam Week. We're going to talk with George Bell from the Capital Area United Way before we get out of here. That's after Taylor checks traffic one more time. So we'll break. We'll come back. We'll talk with George Bell. We'll close it out next right here on Talk 107.3 FM, the new flavor of talk in Baton Rouge.
Exports to China. At home, NVIDIA and AMD are both down 3%. That's your money now.
Okay. I'm Rocky Moselle with Star Registry.com. Since we were children, we've been told to reach for the stars. It was great advice. Now it's a great gift. Name a star after someone. $54 and a call to 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com. We will name a star after someone very special to you and send an incredible personalized gift. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call the Star Registry, 800-282-3333 or visit starregistry.com for the hottest gift.
My doctor told me my cholesterol is borderline, so I took control with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula. Garlic helps maintain healthy cholesterol safely and naturally. It's odor and taste-free, and Garlic is a world leader in garlic potency. I'm taking charge of my cholesterol with Garlic Healthy Cholesterol Formula, cholesterol's natural enemy.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. The term natural references only the garlic in the product. Use as directed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know you were. Come on in. Come on in. I was expecting you on the hotline.
Hey, I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah. How are you, man?
I'm good. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. So I love you guys in the Drive time. Y'all are so funny.
We're something.
Yeah. And I always listening to you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have about 4.5 minutes. Should be enough.
Good. 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 Yeah, and the judging thing, we have 55 teams this time.
Wow, that's a lot of jambalaya.
Yeah, that's a lot. Got that for you.
Oh, thanks. Website. Ooh.
What's that?
They're to go.
Yeah.
Lunch to go, dinner to go. I don't know about that.
Yeah. We added a lunch feature as well as we've always had the dinner to go. You know, those that just want to come and fill up and leave. It looks like the weather may be agreeing with us. There's a chance.
Gonna roll through Wednesday and then
Yeah.
scale back on Thursday. So yeah, hopefully it gets out of here early enough to where we'll have a little bit of drying and cooling.
Yeah, exactly.
But it does look like it'll be cooling for sure.
Yeah.
Well, more so Thursday night.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but less, and not you know, we use the term cooling. It'll be a pleasurable kind of.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think it'll keep folks away.
I don't understand it. There's so much with the disclaimer that first of all, it eats up half the spot.
Oh yeah.
Even when and you can't physically understand it, but that's the way the state legislature built it out.
Wow.
It's like this new thing with the attorneys having to have their bar number added to every spot.
Oh really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Their
I didn't
license
even
number
know.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
It's-
goodness.
Yeah. Did that disclaimer help anybody who's suffering from gambling addiction?
No. You can barely understand it.
But you said it out loud, so your ass is covered.
Mm.
$856 Talk 107.3 FM, WBRP. One segment to go here on Mornings with Brian Haldane. And we're going to talk a little jambalaya in this last segment. It is time for the Capital Area United Way's Jambalaya Jam. George Bell's in the house. What's happening, man?
Well, it's great. A great day to be here, and thank you for the invitation.
No, of course, of course. We look forward to this every single year. Kind of snuck up on us this year, man. It's I wasn't ready.
Well, perhaps for you, but we've been at this for several months.
No, y'all have been. You were telling me during the break we have 55 competitors this year.
55 teams competing in this our 35th annual Capital Area United Way Jambalaya Jam, sponsored by Shell.
So the Jambalaya Jam is a staple in Baton Rouge, and I know everybody makes their way by on Thursday evening. But what's new for this year that we might not know about?
Well, I think what's new is the number of teams. This is a record number of teams cooking, and I think it speaks to the level of support that we've been able to garner from not just the Baton Rouge community, but from all throughout our 10 parish region.
Oh yeah,
we have teams from as far as St. James Parish, and Ascension definitely is here. We have a lot of companies that are doing things, but we have all of that activity going on, thus the 55 teams. The other thing that's new is we have some new offerings. We always did do lunch to go the same day of the event from 11 to about 1 o'clock, but we also have dinner to go, and that's a nice thing as well. So if you don't want to come down and spend the evening with us, you can just come in and get a plate and leave. That's just for $10. And of course, the big deal is all you can eat, $15, all you can eat. You can sample all 55 teams, jambalaya.
Oh, I
if
dare
you're so
you.
inclined.
I dare you. 55 teams.
Yeah.
It's so having been a judge in the past, I know full well I need to be wheeled out of there like Hannibal Lecter by the end of the night. How serious do the competitors take this, or is it just more of a fun day? And I know there's a spectrum here, but what's the most serious you see folks get on this?
So Brian, I'll tell you. Imagine, so we were at a event last week where there were 30 teams participating at the local site, the company site. The winner of that event gets to represent their company at this Jambalaya Jam. It's a big deal.
So I've taken part in that before, the qualifier, if you will.
Exactly.
It's like the U.S. Open of Jambalaya, because, I've gone out to a refinery not too far from here, and I think they had more teams or as many teams as were going to be in the big competition at their house to see who could win to go to y'all's house.
Exactly.
So it's coming up Thursday, October 13th, 5 to 8 p.m., North Boulevard, Town Square. There will be entertainment as well?
Oh, yeah. After 8 is a nice band. They play a variety of music. I think it's something for everyone, and high quality as well.
After 8's a fun time. Kids Zone is back this year. They've got the VIP lounge as well. Check it out. It's the Capital Area United Way, the cauw.org/jam. He's George Bell. I appreciate you stopping in for a couple minutes.
Sure
man.
thing.
Thank
you.
Done for today. Right back at it tomorrow. Handing you off to the Fox News Rundown right here on Talk 107.3. Oh.
When I first started in 2016, I had never been.
Oh, wow.
It's weird. I was in healthcare. I was kind of tunneled, but man, it is such a wonderful event. It's and now, so we have a lot of new companies as well. Banking, healthcare. I mean, Our Lady of the Lake. We were there just last week judging their contest.
We got to go. YouTube, we'll see you tomorrow.